Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome to Let's Start Story on What If Naruto Had Secret Clue Death of Madara Part 2. So do 4 blue hearts comment, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video and please share with your friends and watch till end. Also check out Patreon for I have upload Harry x Hermione uncensored spicy version, link in description. It's pitch black outside on Infinity Island except for the lights coming from the castle. The island itself was beautiful. I guess that's why no one would ever guess the island itself was one of the many bases the League of Shadows used. Right now Cheshire was currently scaling the one building on the island. This place hasn't changed on bit. Jade thought to herself while looking at a few of the guards on patrol. The guards mostly consisted of low-ranked people trying to make a way into the League. In other words, rookies were in charge of guarding a person or thing. She was brought out her thoughts when a beep went off in her ear. She pressed her right ear which activated the built-in comm link. "I'm here," Cheshire replied while walking up the building. "How's the rescue going?" Red X asked as he was currently on the same island as well except he was causing trouble. "I'm almost there as we speak. How are things on your end?" Cheshire inquired as she finally reached the wall where their target was supposed to be. "I've had better days. Dealing with Peter Parker isn't that bad." Red X answered as he dodged a black webbing. "It's Black Spider." "Spider." A voice emphasized why. Following Red X who was a few feet ahead of him. "You just performed a web line." Red X commented while continuing his run through the trees. "Don't let Black Spider catch up to you. He can be dangerous when he wants to be." Cheshire informed Red X while she placed an explosive tag on the wall. "Hey Red X. You can bring him to my location. I'm pretty bored at the moment." Ghost stated as he did his job which was to take out as many people as he could. It had went well, most of them he got the drop on. "I know where you are. I'll be there in about 3 minutes or so." Red X replied. "Good too, guys I have to go. I have company." Ghost replied before turning off his comm link. "Same here Cheshire." Red X informed the former assassin who had just detonated the explosive tag which caused the wall to be blown backwards. The 2 guards that were in the room were able to move Cheshire's target out of the way. "Cheshire," one of the 2 guards asked before being taken out by Cheshire who had hit their pressure points. The second guard had Cheshire's objective in his hand. "Dr. Roquette," Cheshire asked getting a nod from the hostage. Cheshire quickly threw a Sinbon which went into the second guard's neck, which caused him to fall down to the ground. "So you're the advanced person here to save me?" Dr. Roquette asked getting a nod from Cheshire. "You can say that," Cheshire replied as the door was kicked open. Speedy stepped into the room with his bow in hand. "What a team," Dr. Roquette muttered to herself as she had not only 1 but 2 people trying to save her. "What are you doing here?" Speedy and Cheshire said in unison to one another. "I'm saving Dr. Roquette." They both answered at the same time again. "You can't because that's why I'm here." The 2 said again to the other person. "You're impossible." The 2 shouted to one another. "Am I missing something here?" Dr. Roquette asked the 2 masked heroes in the room. "Ex-girlfriend and let's keep it at that." Speedy answered as he really didn't want to talk about his love life right now. "What are you trying to say?" Cheshire challenged wanting him to continue his answer. "That you're..." Speedy replied before taking a deep breath. "Forget it. Let a hero do his work," he said before shooting an arrow outside which had a zip line attached to it. "Come on Doc," Speedy stated as an alarm was going off. "I can't leave this behind." Dr. Roquette informed the 2 while looking at the huge canister. "I take it or I take you," Speedy replied as Dr. Roquette took off her glasses. "Take me then," the doctor said as her and Speedy used the zip line to get out of the room. "Leave me with the hard work then," Cheshire muttered to herself before taking out a medium-sized scroll and opening it on top of the canister. "Seal," she ordered as the container was now in the scroll as multiple rookies from the League of Shadows came into the room. "Cheshire, what are you doing here?" a person asked the former assassin. "Didn't you hear? I work for Cadmus now boys," she answered before throwing a small ball onto the ground as black smokescreen filled the room. Cheshire jumped out of the room, grabbed onto the zip line Speedy provided. She swung her body so that she could run down the zip line rather than holding it. Right now she was now on the beach part of the island and was looking for Speedy and Dr. Roquette. She activated the binocular feature of her mask and saw the 2 were long gone from the island. Miss Martian, I'm on my way to the rendezvous point. She informed the alien. I'll come to your location. Red X and Ghost are currently fighting off two assassins. Miss Martian replied while starting up the bio ship. Okay then. Cheshire replied while waiting for the bio ship to appear. With Ghost at 11:55 p.m. Est. He had just finished taking out what Cheshire had called rookies to the league. You would think with all the technology they had they would have been better prepared, but he guessed not. Right now he was talking to Red X and Cheshire when he dodged an oncoming projectile. He told the two that he had company and turned off his comm link. You know it's rude to hit someone when they're talking on the phone, Ghost stated to his opponent. And you should pay attention more. His opponent replied in a mocking tone. Ghost turned and saw his opponent was a female with long black hair and was wearing a tight black bodysuit with orange stripes on it. On her feet were black boots while on her hands were black and orange gloves, but the tiger mask was what caught Naruto's attention, seeing as it was similar to Cheshire's mask except the white was black and the red was orange. And they said orange was a bad color. I think not. Naruto thought to himself while staring down his opponent. The name's Tigress. She introduced herself to Ghost, who nodded. I'm just a ghost passing through. Ghost replied as she went into a fighting stance. Let's get this over with. Tigress stated as she balled up her fist as three black blades came out of both her gloves. Someone likes Wolverine, Ghost muttered to himself before taking a fighting stance himself. I'm better than him. Tigress growled before lunging at Ghost, who was ready to intercept her. With Red X at 11:55 p.m. Est. Grant's day had went well. So far he was able to accomplish a few things except get the Spider-Man knock off of his tail. He was currently jumping through the trees while making his way to Ghost location. You can't run forever. Black Spider shouted from behind him while web slinging his way towards the thief of Jump City. Sure I can. Red X replied before jumping forward and turning his body before throwing a X shuriken which emitted smokescreen to his pursuer. Red X quickly landed on to the next branch and continued his way towards Ghost. With Ghost, his opponent wasn't afraid to get up close and personal. Her fighting style was aggressive, but I guess that's why her name's Tigress after all. Ghost was able to keep his distance from the female assassin. Stop running away, Tigress said to Ghost, who was a few feet away from her. You can't hit me, so why should I? Ghost replied. A click sound was heard as small crossbow appeared on both her hands. Goodbye, Tigress stated before shooting two arrows at Ghost. The arrows were stopped by two red shurikens. Sorry I'm late. A spider was following me, Red X said to Ghost, who chuckled a bit. You're here now, so that's what counts. Ghost replied as Red X saw two trees coming towards them. Get down, Red X ordered as he jumped over the two trees. Ghost grabbed Tigress and pulled her down to the ground as the trees sailed right over them. Why did you save me? We're enemies, Tigress asked in a confused tone. You're the one who attacked me. I never said we were enemies, Ghost answered as he grabbed onto a rope and was pulled up from the battlefield along with Red X. Tigress saw that they were boarding a aerial vehicle. Who was that? Black Spider inquired about her opponent. A ghost, Tigress answered while thinking of why he saved her. You know Sensei isn't going to be happy about this, Black Spider said to his teammate, who nodded as their radios went off. Do not worry about a thing, you two. We have all her information in order to make the final project a reality. A voice informed them. Theme song, Dojo. December 1st, 8:45 a.m. Est. The Outsiders' training was short this morning since Blackfire was going overboard with the hand-to-hand combat training. She was trying to prove to the team that she belonged here. We'll pick up hand-to-hand combat training later, Black Canary informed the group of 7, who nodded. I think Batman wants to talk with you about your mission to Infinity Island yesterday, Huntress announced to them as she walked into the dojo they had made outside of their headquarters. We'll be there shortly, Calder replied as the two adults left them in the wooden dojo. What was that all about, Blackfire? Megan asked the other alien, who shrugged her shoulders. I don't know what you're talking about, Blackfire replied before taking a sip of water. You went overboard in hand-to-hand combat training today, Calder stated, as she pretty much dominated her fight against Megan, Connor, and himself. Jade and Naruto didn't get the chance to fight her. Was I supposed to show mercy? A fight's a fight regardless if it's sparing or not, Blackfire said to her teammate. You still didn't have to act all high and mighty about it. Naruto replied while grabbing a towel and wiping his face. Well, excuse my pride then. Blackfire said as a person walked into the dojo. It was none other than Cassandra Cain. She had stayed in the room Batman had provided for her since last week. This was the first time anyone saw Cassandra since Batman made an offer to her. Right now she was wearing a pair of black sweatpants, a white tank top, and had black bandages wrapped around her arms and feet. Her hair was also in a ponytail. In her hands were a pad and pen. Cassandra, long time no see, Jade said to the former assassin, who nodded in acknowledgement. Who is that? Blackfire asked, not seeing her before. A friend of ours. Calder answered as Cassandra had went over to the weights in the room and started working out a bit. Why doesn't she talk then? Blackfire said in a rude tone. Because she can't. Megan informed Blackfire as Cassandra went into the middle of the dojo. I think she wants to spar. Connor guessed, getting a nod from Cassandra. Blackfire decided to take her on. Don't expect me to hold back, Blackfire said before she went into one of the many fight stances she knew. Begin fighting, Naruto stated as Blackfire started off the fight with powerful kick. Cass. Andra saw it coming and front flipped over Blackfire. From there Cassandra twisted her body in the air and hit Blackfire in her shoulders. Once Cassandra landed, she continued her assault by hitting multiple pressure points in Blackfire body. A few seconds later Blackfire fell down to the ground unable to move. Someone just got schooled, Grant said before laughing. You heard everything, didn't you, Cassandra? Jade asked as Cassandra nodded her head yes before writing on her notepad and giving the sheet of paper to Jade. Cassandra says that Blackfire should learn pride isn't everything, Jade said, reading off the paper. Come on, we have to go see Batman, Naruto stated as Megan used her telekinesis to lift Blackfire up and carry her outside. It should wear off by the time we get into the main room, Jade informed the group as they left the dojo except for Cassandra. A minute later Naruto came back into the dojo. Are you coming? Naruto asked the silent assassin, who shook her head no. Mount Justice. 9 a.m. Est. The group of 7 walked into the main room where Batman along with Green Arrow were in the room going over the black canister. The walk over to the main room was interesting, seeing as Blackfire did regain her ability to walk. Naruto guessed that she had some serious thinking to do, seeing as Cassandra was able to deal a powerful blow to her pride as a warrior. Morning everyone. Green Arrow greeted the young heroes, who nodded. We were going over this canister Jade brought in, Batman stated as multiple holographic monitors appeared on the screen. Dr. Roquette is a nanorobotic genius and expert in claytronics at Royal University. She was abducted 2 weeks ago by the Shadows. It appears that someone's ward decided to rescue her the same time we tried to. As Green Arrow was looking at anything else in the room except for Batman. So what's in the canister? Jade asked the Dark Knight as another screen appeared in the room. On that screen there was a small metal bug that was in motion. Bats here was able to use some of his tools in order to get a snapshot of what's in the canister. They appear to be nanobots that eat anything, seeing as they ate the wire Batman put into the canister. Green Arrow replied. So where is Dr. Roquette now? Naruto questioned the duo. Wherever Speedy is, Batman answered while typing on the keyboard. At the local high school, a voice announced as they turned to see none other than Jean. How do you know that? Blackfire asked the older Martian. I did a telepathic scan of this world. I was able to lock K onto her thoughts, which were coming from the local high school. It appears that Speedy is guarding her, Jean informed the group. Why would he hide her there? Megan asked. Well, it is Sunday after all. Add on to the fact that Happy Harbor Town was the closest place to Infinity Island as well, Jean answered. Knowing the League of Shadows, they will probably send a few assassins to capture Dr. Roquette. Jade added on. If the League wasn't finished with you, they will find you by any means. Okay, here's the plan. Each of you will go to the high school and perform a stakeout. Every hour you will switch with one another, Batman informed the group, who nodded. I'll take the first watch, Naruto volunteered as Batman nodded. Hey Naruto, don't you have a date today? Grant asked the blonde. It isn't until 8 o'clock, so I'm fine, Naruto answered. Okay Naruto, change and report to the school, Batman ordered as Naruto nodded before leaving Mount Justice. Happy Harbor High School. 10:30 a.m. Est. Ghost was currently in one of the many trees that surrounded the school. Right now he was thinking of his date with Artemis. The two had finally planned their schedules accordingly sync. Their last date was supposed to be on Friday, but Artemis had cancelled, saying she had to visit her mother in Gotham. The two had rescheduled it, so it was today. Naruto was brought out of his thoughts when Cheshire appeared in a tree a few feet away from his. "I'm right here, Cheshire," Ghost called out, getting the kunoichi's attention. "Anything happen?" Cheshire asked, getting a head shake no from Ghost. "Not at all. The two appear to be sleeping," Ghost informed Cheshire, who nodded. "Good to hear. So who's the lady you're taking out today?" Cheshire asked. "Artemis." "Why, is there a problem?" Ghost replied. "No problem at all, now go get ready," Cheshire said quickly as Ghost left the area. "I know what I'm doing at 8 o'clock. Jade thought to herself as she heard Naruto talk about Artemis a few times, but he never introduced her to them in person. "I just hope it isn't who I have in mind," Jade thought to herself once again before turning on the X-ray vision she had on in her mask and looked at the building. She saw Speedy was now up while the doctor was still asleep. Happy Harbor Mall, 7:58 p.m. Est. Naruto was now at the mall waiting for Artemis to show up. He had gotten here a few minutes early, so he was fine. He was wearing his casual attire, which was a pair of blue jeans, a pair of white shoes, a white shirt, and a blue jacket. "Hey Naruto," a female voice called as he turned to say. Artemis, who was wearing a pair of dark blue jeans, a green shirt, a pair of black shoes, and a black jacket. She had her blonde hair wrapped in a ponytail. "Not the Sandbar Cafe, but I think it would do," Naruto stated as Artemis chuckled at the joke. "Well, let's start here then," Artemis replied as the two went into the mall and started their date. Happy Harbor Mall, 8:30 p.m. Est. The date so far was fun. They explored almost every store in the mall and were having a good time. The two were currently sitting down eating dinner. "How's the food?" Naruto asked his date, who was enjoying her meal. "The burger was good. How was your food?" Artemis said to the other blonde, who too was also eating a hamburger. "It's not that bad," Naruto replied as he felt a person was watching him as Artemis' phone started to ring. She picked up the phone and saw who was calling. "Excuse me for a second, Naruto. I have to take this," Artemis stated before getting up and leaving the table. Naruto decided to see WHO was following him by looking at that direction. He saw it was Jade who was approaching him. "What's going on, Jade?" Naruto asked the black-haired assassin who took a seat. "I'm just checking up on you, Naruto," Jade replied. "Checking up? You've been following me all day," Naruto stated to the assassin. "Look, Naruto. I used to work with Artemis when I was in the league, Naruto. She is a dangerous person," Jade informed Naruto. "Are you sure about this, Jade?" Naruto questioned, getting a head shake. "Yes. I'm pretty sure, Naruto," Jade replied before leaving the table as Artemis came back. "I have to cut our date short, Naruto. My job's calling," Artemis said with regret in her tone. "It's all right, Artemis. I understand," Naruto replied as Artemis gave him a hug. Naruto was shocked at first but accepted the hug. "I'll call you when I'm off, okay?" Artemis stated while breaking the hug. "Fine by me," Naruto said as Artemis left the mall, leaving Naruto at the table as Jade came back to the table. "Naruto, we have to go to the high school at once. The shadows are making their move," Jade stated as Naruto was deep in thought for a few seconds. Could Jade have been right about Artemis? He didn't have enough time to think about it. Right now his head had to be in the game. "Let's go," Naruto replied as the two left the mall and went to the school to intercept the League of Shadows. Happy Harbor High School, 9 p.m. Est. At the moment the outsiders were currently set up outside the school. From there they were now waiting for the League of Shadows to strike. Jade had informed the others that as soon as night hit, that was when the League made their move. Right now it was dark outside of the Happy Harbor High School. "Does anyone see anything?" Ghost asked his fellow teammates as he was in a tree along with Cheshire. "Nothing yet," Red X replied from his position, which on the rooftops with Blackfire and Miss Martian. "Coast is clear on our end," Aqualad informed his teammates as he and Superboy were at the back of the school. "What is Dr. Roquette working on exactly?" Cheshire asked as Dr. Roquette has been on the computer since noon. "It's supposed to be an antivirus she's making," It appears the League of Shadows still have a majority of her information and were able to make a final version of the fog, as she describes it. Miss Martian informed the group. So why are we here? It's not like the League of Shadows know where the doctors is. Blackfire questioned her teammates. You can blame Speedy for that. He told the doctor to figure out where the fog was headed since the one we have is in sleep mode. From what she said, it was in Gotham City. The tracking worked as a two-way signal. Superboy replied. What is Speedy doing? Cheshire questioned while seeing High M and Dr. Roquette were leaving the high school. They're leaving, Ghost stated, seeing the two get onto the Archer's motorcycle and leave the area. I'll tail them, Red X said before calling his X-cycle to the scene as he rode a few feet behind them. Miss Martian, get the bio ship ready. Aqualad ordered to the Martian, whose bio ship was in the parking lot of the school in camouflaged mode. I hope you guys are in the bio ship. The League of Shadows are here on the highway. Red X informed the group as he saw a huge tractor trailer with the League of Shadows logo on the side of it. He saw the huge trailer was approaching Speedy and Dr. Roquette. Try to stop them. We're on our way, Aqualad replied as everyone was getting into the bio ship at a quick pace. Too many people on the road for me to, damn it. Red X said as everyone heard him rev up his engine. Red X, come in, Cheshire said in a worried tone as the bio ship was about to take off. Blackfire and Miss Martian, fly ahead and support Red X, Superboy stated as the two aliens flew off. Don't worry, Cheshire. Red X can take care of himself, Ghost commented as Grant wasn't a person to go down easily. Highway, 9:23 p.m., Est. At the current moment, Speedy and Dr. Roquette were trying to avoid the tractor trailer, but things weren't going so well for them. Red X could see that Speedy wanted to do some advance motor C. Clee maneuvers, but he had Dr. Roquette with him, so that cancelled that plan out. At the time, the duo were being shot at by multiple people dressed the black uniforms. Cheshire had said that rookies used firearms. Let's see, the League of Shadows are taking precaution. They're only aiming near Speedy and not directly at him. I guess they do want Dr. Roquette, Grant thought to himself as he saw one of them spot him. He immediately revved up his engine and drove out of the way of fire. He saw a black blur fly past him and saw Blackfire land on top of the trailer. She was throwing most of rookies off of the large trailer. He saw Miss Martian was flying beside Speedy. He guessed she was informing them of a quicker way to get to Gotham City. Red X, Speedy and Dr. Roquette have agreed to temporary trust me. They want me to get them to Gotham City, Miss Martian informed him. Where's the bio ship? Red X asked while keeping up with the trailer. Right in front of the trailer, Miss Martian and sword as the ship wasn't cloaked anymore. We need to clear this area first. We don't need a death toll here, Red X said as Miss Martian nodded in agreement. No need for a huge pile-up after all. Chess, Higher and Ghost are making their move now, Miss Martian stated as Red X saw the two were now on top of the trailer. Red X also saw that the back door to the trailer was opening to reveal Black Spider, a ND Tigress, who pulled out a large ramp that was now skidding on the ground. Get ready, Red X said to Miss Martian as the two saw the trailer break as Speedy and Dr. Roquette were brought into the trailer. Superboy, get down here, Ghost ordered as the clone jumped onto the trailer, causing a light dent. Finally, Superboy commented before ripping the roof of the trailer open. As he was hit was a powerful red ball of webbing which sent him off the roof of the trailer. Blackfire quickly went back for Superboy. Looks like I'm up, Miss Martian said before using her telekinesis to lift Speedy and Dr. Roquette into the bio ship. Are you guys okay? Aqualad asked the two, who nodded. I want answers, Speedy demanded as this was the third time this group ran into him. We need to get to Gotham at once, Dr. Roquette stated as the door closed. No problem, Aqualad replied as he flew them to Gotham at a fast speed. With Ghost and Cheshire, the two were currently fighting Tigress and Black Spider. Ghost taunted Black Spider into fighting him on what was left on the roof while Cheshire and Tigress were fighting below. Snap out of it, Artemis, it's me, Cheshire stated, trying to get her friend to stop fighting. Cheshire is dead, Ra Al Ghul told us himself. Tigress replied in an angry tone while continuing her assault on Cheshire, who was dodging her punches with ease. Then who the hell am I then? Cheshire asked while ducking Slash. A clone. Nothing more, nothing less. Tigress answered before pouncing on Cheshire. Forgive me, Cheshire stated before grabbing Tigress' left hand and twisting it behind her back. I don't forgive clones, Tigress said before slamming the back of her head into Cheshire's mask, which caused Cheshire to let go. It's me, Jade Nguyen, Cheshire. How did as Tigress stopped once Cheshire said that. Jade, what the hell is going on? Tigress questioned in a confused tone as she unclenched her fist, which caused the blades to go back into the gloves. You're working with the League of Shadows, Cheshire informed Tigress, who shook her head no. Myself, Black Spider, and Hook used to. Sensei helped us leave the League once the word of your death hit, but then he betrayed us. He took us to Ra Al Ghul, who had a telepath perform some type of technique on us. Tigress explained while trying to recall the last event she remembered before the telepath wiped some of her memories. Telepath. And what did you mean Sensei betrayed you? Cheshire questioned, not believing her grandfather figure would do such a thing. Look, Jade, that's just about all I can really remember from that day. The telepath kept referring to himself in third person, if that helps. Tigress stated while rubbing her head. What was their name? Cheshire asked, hoping she at least had a name she could go off of. Simonai, Tigress started before letting out a powerful scream. Tigress had a voice in her head telling her to forget Cheshire and that she was the enemy. You okay? Cheshire asked in an unsure voice as Tigress clenched her fists as her claws came back out. I'm fine now, Tigress answered coldly before rushing Cheshire, who jumped through the medium-sized hole in the roof. She looked and saw Ghost was pretty much playing around with Black Spider. Ghost, we're leaving, Cheshire ordered, getting a nod from the blonde shinobi. Later, Ghost stated before he and Cheshire disappeared in a swirl of leaves. I really hate them, Black Spider commented. I don't really care, Tigress replied before releasing her fists. With Aqualad, they were now in Gotham City and were in Wayne Tech. Dr. Roquette told them that she had been monitoring the fog activity and learned that so far the League of Shadows targeted STAR Labs along with Lex Corp. Right how the group was now uploading the antivirus into the main system. A few seconds later they heard a loud buzzing sound. What is that? Speedy questioned while looking out the window to see a gray mass make its way towards the building. Company. Dr. Roquette, continue uploading the antivirus no matter what. Me and Speedy will be outside, Aqualad stated as he and Speedy ran outside to see a person dressed in a red cloak and had on a helmet which had a red oval on it. They were now staring at Professor Ojo. Cheshire had informed Aqualad that he was one of the few tech-savvy members of the League. Have a plan? Speedy asked while pulling out one of his arrows. Professor Ojo saw the arrow and quickly wiped his hand over a metal canister as a red beam came out of his helmet. The two dodged the optic blast. Take out the helmet, Aqualad answered while pulling out both his rods, with one becoming a shield while the other became a sword. Is that all? Speedy replied while analyzing the situation in his own mind before another optic blast came towards them. Yeah, Aqualad said as he was now behind a car. Speedy on the other hand was shooting multiple arrows as Professor Ojo who was taking them out before they could reach him. Aqualad saw Speedy's strategy and made his move towards the professor, who was distracted. Bye, Aqualad stated as his tattoos were glowing. He touched Professor Ojo's helmet as the reaction was instant. The blue electricity surged throughout his entire helmet, which caused it to stop working. You still won't win. The fog is already doing its what? Professor Ojo said as the two heroes saw the once gray fog was now turning red. She did it, Aqualad commented as a police sirens were heard. The next time we meet, I want answers, Speedy stated while walking over to the Atlantean. No promises, Aqualad replied before going to the bio ship and taking off. Maybe I should take Robin up on his offer, Speedy thought to himself while taking out a yellow communicator which had a capital T in white on it. But then again, those guys were smooth, as he was thinking of their strategy when they were on the highway. I need more time to think about this, before he put the yellow communicator into his pocket as an officer approached him. Mount Justice, December 5, 9:15 a.m. Est. Naruto was currently thinking about a few things. Artemis never did call him back. Jade did explain how something was wrong with Tigress when they were fighting. Add on to the fact that Miss Martian had picked up on a telepath that was in the area as well. So many questions and not enough answers. He was brought out of his thoughts when Blackfire came into his room at Mount Justice. "Hey," Naruto greeted while getting up from his chair in his room. On his desk was a few scrolls along with a small green book. "I just want to apologize for the way I was acting a couple of days ago. I'm not used to looking out for myself rather than others," Blackfire stated as Naruto nodded. "Hey, we're all not perfect. Trust me," Naruto replied, getting her to smile. "So what have you been up to, Naruto?" Blackfire asked the blonde. "Thinking about a few things along with finishing my book," Naruto answered as Blackfire picked up the green book. "Make out paradise?" Blackfire inquired as Naruto took the book away. "It's not finished," Naruto replied quickly. "Let me ready it once you're done, alright? I think that it may be interesting. Anyway, have you seen Cassandra anywhere?" Blackfire questioned. "Dojo if anything," Naruto answered as the alien nodded before leaving the room. What is the League of Shadows planning?" Naruto thought to himself before going back to his scrolls. Flying over the Caribbean Sea was the bio ship. Right now the team was on a stealth mission to see what meeting was going to go down on Santa Prisca. Santa Prisca dead ahead, Miss Martian announced while piloting the bio ship as the team was now looking at the island with their objective in mind. Figure out what deal was going on between Cobra and the League of Shadows. Drop Zona in 30. Miss Martian stated as Aqualad stood up from his seat and pressed his belt buckle as his once red shirt became black. "Ready," Aqualad said as he mentally prepared himself for what he had to do. "Putting the ship in camouflage mode," Miss Martian replied as the once red ship was now cloaked as she brought the ship down near the water. Aqualad jumped out of the ship and landed in the water. He immediately started to swim towards the underwater fence. He pulled one of his rods which became a sword and slashed through the fence. Aqualad jumped out of the water and sprinted towards the cameras. Once at the cameras he pulled out a red device and placed it onto the camera. A few seconds later, he heard a ding which told him that the device did its job. Heat and motion sensors are patched. Data is now on a continuous loop. Move in, Aqualad informed his comrades. Bio ship. Inside the bio ship, Naruto and Jade were preparing for their drop-off. The two of them were going to be the two that were dropped off closest to the factory while the rest were going to be at a different location. Drop Zone B in 15. Miss Martian stated as Naruto and Jade stood up. Henshin. The two stated as their suits were now on. Cheshire pressed a button on her wrist as her once green attire was now all black. "I must say stealth tech is pretty cool," Cheshire said while looking at her all-black costume. A hole appeared on the bio ship floor which meant that this was their destination. "All radio. You guys once we find a way into the factory," Ghost stated getting a nod from the rest of the team as the duo jumped out of the ship and landed on a mountainside. "Drop Zone C for us then," Grant saw it as Miss Martian flew the ship towards the upper level of the island. A few minutes later the group of four were at their drop-off point. "Final stop," Miss Martian announced while standing up as her cloth shifted to her stealth suit. Grant was dialing a number on his X phone which caused his silver belt to appear. "Henshin," he muttered as he slid the phone into the silver belt as his red X suit appeared. "Let's go," Blackfire stated as a rope appeared in front of them. Red X, Blackfire, and Miss Martian grabbed the rope and was lowered onto the ground while Superboy jumped out the ship and landed on the ground causing a small crater to appear where he landed. "Knew I didn't need a line," Superboy said while brushing his shirt off. "So much for stealth," Red X commented. "Drop Zone C is a go everyone," Miss Martian stated through the radio. "I'll make my way to Group C," Aqualad replied as he was currently climbing up a mountainside. "Stay on alert guys. There appears to be some type of war going on here," Cheshire said as her and Ghost witnessed a fight between two different groups. "It might be Cobra and what's left of Bane's group fighting for the island," Ghost stated to the others. "You guys continue to find an entrance. We'll meet up with you later." Aqualad out, Aqualad replied. With Group B, Ghost and Cheshire were having no luck. They were able to avoid the Bane and Cobra groups but their primary mission wasn't going so well. Cobra has the factory heavily guarded all around. "We're getting nowhere," Ghost commented from his position which was in one of the many huge trees. "There has to be something we're not thinking of," Cheshire replied as Ghost started to think about what the League of Shadows member said to the Cobra member. "How would most people get to the island, Cheshire?" Ghost asked the former assassin. Plane or boat unless they have superpowers which allow them to fly. Why do you ask? Cheshire answered, not getting where this was going. Quote, so how does the League of Shadows travel then? Ghost questioned as Cheshire thought about how the League would deploy her on missions. Boat unless they have to, Cheshire started before finally getting Ghost questions. There has to be a dock somewhere on this island then. She concluded. If the League of Shadows could get to their location by boat then by all means they would. Hey Blackfire can you fly up and look out for any boats coming towards the island? Ghost asked the black-haired alien. Just give me a second. Blackfire voice replied as she flew up into the sky and started to look around for a bit until she saw multiple boats make their way towards the island. There are multiple boats coming towards the island. She informed the group. Thanks Blackfire. Ghost replied through the radio. The League of Shadows are coming, which means the meeting is going to start soon. Aqualad concluded. We'll find an entrance. Ghost out. Ghost replied as right below them a member of Bane's group was taking a break. Let's see if I still got it. Cheshire commented before pulling out some ninja wire and started to wrap some around her waist and some on the branch. What are you talking about? Ghost asked his partner who was looking at the person below them. I'm going to make him sing. Cheshire replied before jumping off the tree and grabbing the person. What, was the only word he could say before his mouth was covered and he was pulled up into the tree. With Group C, they were currently making their way towards the factory. With the League of Shadows coming to the island, they were speeding up their efforts by running or in Blackfire and Miss Martian case flying towards the factory. Superboy came to a halt when he heard something. You hear that? Superboy asked his friends. No. Wait, is this a super hearing thing? Red X asked the clone who shook his head. No. I heard something as well but I shrugged it off. Blackfire said, backing up Superboy's claim. Red X bro. UGHT out his holographic computer and started typing on it. Well, this island does have a lot of wildlife if that helps. Red X informed the group as there was another sound. This time everyone heard it. Let's move. Miss Martian ordered as they started to run only to hear a loud roar. They all turned around and saw a huge black and what appeared to be purple tiger approach them. Why can't we ever get an easy mission? Red X complained while pulling out a few explosive X's. Because we're not normal. Superboy replied as the tiger pounced on Blackfire. Miss Martian quickly brought up a telepathic shield to block the tiger, which sent the animal back. We're surrounded, guys. Red X commented, seeing 3 more tigers appear. Let's end this quickly then. Blackfire stated before charging at one of the tigers and punching it. Another tiger charged at Superboy, who also punched the tiger and sent it flying. Red X threw multiple explosive X's which hit the large tiger and sent it back. You two okay? Miss Martian asked Superboy and Blackfire, who nodded. We're fine. The tiger wasn't so tough. Blackfire replied with confidence in her voice. You're bleeding. Red X said as Blackfire did a scratch on her hand from when she punched the tiger. It will heal. Blackfire replied as Superboy also had a scratch on his hand but didn't want to tell anyone. He wanted to see if his regenerate ion abilities would work in this type of situation. You guys okay? A voice asked as they turned to see Aqualad approach them. A few huge tigers, but we're okay. Red X answered as their radios went off. Red X here. Red X said through the comm link. We found an secret entrance. Track our location. Cheshire stated. Good to hear. We'll be there in no time. Aqualad replied as the group of 5W and towards Ghost and Cheshire's location. Secret entrance. The group of 5 saw Ghost and Cheshire were standing next to a large boulder. They also saw a person who was dressed similar to Bane was with them as well. What happened to him? Red X asked while approaching the duo. The man had a dazed expression on his face. Cheshire happened. Ghost replied, not wanting to go into details. So how are we getting in? Aqualad asked as Ghost pointed to the boulder. I'll move it. Superboy stated while pushing the boulder out of the way to reveal an entrance. The group followed the Bane henchman through the entrance. They saw a small console and the Bane henchman put his thumb onto the console. A few seconds later a green light appeared and the door opened. Cheshire knocked out the Bane henchman who she had under a genjutsu. He said down this hallway would be a door which leads right to the center of the factory. Ghost informed the rest of the group as they went forward. They saw that there was indeed a door. Ghost opened it to reveal the factory. Coast is clear, Ghost stated as they were now standing in the factory. Look at all this venom. Red X commented as he never saw so much venom before. Interesting that they're not touching the venom in the old boxes. Aqualad said while looking at what boxes they were loading. Seems to be an office on the upper level. Cheshire said, as the rest of the team looked up and saw that there was indeed an office. I'll investigate. I might be able to download some information if there's a computer in the room. Red X stated, I'll come with you. Cheshire replied as Red X nodded. The two were now off and went to office. Helicopters coming. Both Blackfire and Superboy said in unison. Ghost, Miss Martian, you two go outside and find out who is flying the helicopter. The rest of us will stay in here and take a few samples of Cobra's venom and Bane's venom. Aqualad stated as he pulled out a few small tubes. Let's move, Miss M. Ghost said as the duo made their way outside. With Red X and Cheshire. The duo had finally reached the office on the upper level. They looked in and saw that there was a Cobra member typing on the computer. You want to take him out or should I? Red X asked in a whispering tone. I'll do it. Cheshire replied before silently sneaking up on the Cobra member before hitting a pressure point on his shoulder which caused him to go to sleep. Move over. Red X said to the sleeping member while pushing him out of the chair. Red X started to type on the computer. Chemical formulas. That's venom. Red X stated while looking at the red chemical on screen as a blue chemical appeared on screen a few seconds later. That's the blockbuster formula. Cheshire replied as she remembered when Red X showed them the files he was able to download from the computer at the Washington, D.C. Cadmus building. So how did they get the blockbuster formula? Red X asked Cheshire, who shrugged her shoulders. They might have stole it seeing as there is bad blood between the two. Cheshire replied. I'm going to download as much as I can. Red X stated before pulling out the USB cord from his left wrist and loading whatever information he could get. With Ghost and Miss Martian. The two were currently sitting on the rooftops of the factory. They were waiting for the helicopter to land. The two saw that the leader of Cobra was actually here on the island. Must be pretty important if he's here. Ghost stated, getting a nod from Miss Martian as the helicopter landed. Ghost saw the League of Shadows log. Oh, on the front of it as Sensei stepped out of the helicopter. The two started having a conversation. We have to get down there. Miss Martian said as she couldn't hear them. Don't worry. I have one of my clones on the case. Ghost replied as he had made a few clones to scout the island. He saw that one of his clones had transformed into a rock in order to eavesdrop on the current meeting. Before EU knew it, the small meeting was over and multiple people wearing black cloaks appeared next to the leader of Cobra as Sensei went back into his helicopter and left. Meeting's over. Let's meet back up with Aqualad. Ghost stated as the two went back into the factory. With Aqualad, Blackfire, and Superboy. The trio were able to get samples of Cobra's venom without a problem. Right now the trio waiting by the secret entrance for their friends to arrive. Aqualad noticed that Blackfire and Superboy were moving kinda slow. You two okay? Aqualad asked with concern in his voice. I'm fine. Let's move. Superboy answered as the rest of the team were approaching them. I downloaded as much info as I could. Hopefully Bats will be able to put it to good use. Red X informed the group. My CL. One heard that the League of Shadows will indeed go through with the agreement of guarding the Cobra scientist. Right now we have to, Ghost started as he felt one of his clones disappear. Leave. One of my clones was just destroyed. Ghost said as they left through the secret entrance, making sure to place the boulder back to where it was before. This mission went smoothly. Red X stated as Hey, Miss Martian had called for the bioship to come to their location. Until now. A voice called from above them as they saw it was Tigress standing on top of a tree with Black Spider and Hook beside her. Way to go, X. Cheshire replied before sliding into a fighting stance. How long until the ship comes? Aqualad asked Miss Martian. 3 minutes. She answered. 3 minutes is all I need. Tigress replied before jumping down and attacking the group. Leave her to me, Cheshire said before fighting her former best friend. I call dibs on Peter Parker. Red X stated before throwing a WX shurikens at the purple-wearing assassin. Hook used his hook to block the X shurikens. I'll take him. Superboy replied as Hook launched his hook at Superboy, who took the blow and was blown back by it. Superboy. Miss Martian said with concern before blocking the Hook attack. Superboy should have been able to withstand that attack. Naruto thought to himself while looking at Blackfire and seeing that she was looking weak. Blackfire's not looking too good. While turning to see that Superboy was looking weak as well. They were poisoned. Naruto concluded. How long until the ship appears? Ghost asked. 30 seconds. Miss Martian answered she was helping Red X out with Black Spider. Blackfire and Superboy were poisoned. Ghost announced, shocking the rest of the team. Ghost, the ship is set to land. Miss Martian informed the blonde shinobi. Get back. Ghost stated to his friends, who disengaged the enemy and went behind the Ghost. Just what is he planning on doing? Hook asked his comrades. Ghost was quickly going through hand signs. Whatever it is, I'm stopping it. Tigress replied as she charged towards Ghost, who brought his right hand to his mouth. The great breakthrough. Naruto thought before releasing a high-powered wind which blew the three assassins away from their location. The bio ship landed as Cheshire and Red X started to hook up the equipment for the medical bay. I'm fine, guys, Superboy said in a weak tone before passing out. Blackfire did the same thing, which led to Aqualad and Ghost picking up their friends and bringing them into the ship. Everything's ready, Red X stated as Aqualad and Ghost put their friends on the beds Miss Martian ship provided. Cheshire was hooking both of them onto the medical equipment, with Miss Martian piloting the ship at a fast speed. The radio inside the ship went off. It's Batman, Miss Martian informed them as a few seconds later Batman appeared on the screen. I wanted to see how the mission was going, he asked, getting straight to the point. It was a success, but Blackfire and Superboy have been poisoned. Aqualad answered as Batman nodded. Get them here as quick as you can and bring them to the medical bay. Miss Martian's medical equipment can only do so much, Batman replied before cutting off the video feed. Mount Justice, December 9, 11:15 a.m. Est. They arrived at Mount Justice around 1 o'clock this morning. Batman had Black Canary and Green Arrow help monitor the poisoning situation. At the moment things were going bad for Blackfire and Superboy. The team kept on asking Batman what was going on. Atman had stated that they needed more of their blood before he could begin operating. We have to do something, Naruto said, frustrated that he couldn't help his friends. I agree, but what can we do? Batman needs their blood, Megan replied. Then why doesn't he just use the blood inside them? Grant asked, not getting why he couldn't just do that. The poison is spreading through most of their blood. If Naruto hadn't used one of his medical jutsus, then they could have died before we got here. Jade replied. How about we go find some of their blood then? I think Superman would help if he knew the circumstances, Calder proclaimed. That's a big I think, Calder. Besides, even if Superman cooperates, how are we going to get to Tamarinian blood? Grant replied. Starfire, Naruto said as she was indeed a Tamarinian, let alone Blackfire's sister after all. How do we even know she would cooperate? I mean, she's a Teen Titan. Jade replied. Just what are you guys planning? Huntress asked while walking into the lounge area. Trying to figure out a way to save our friends, Naruto answered. Well, Batman told me that he was really having a problem figuring out the components that were in the poison. Look, I'm going to help you in whatever plan you guys come up with. I don't want my students to die, Huntress stated the last sentence in a serious tone to the group. Shouldn't the Cadmus building in Washington, D.C. have Superboy's blood? Megan asked. He was created there, so they should, but how are we going to get there? Grant asked. We do have a teleporter here, Huntress informed the group. And I know 2 people how can figure out the components in that poison, Naruto said. Where are they? Calder asked. Arkham Asylum, Naruto answered. I know who you're talking about, but see, and you risk the consequences of your actions, Naruto. A voice asked as question walked into the room. For my friends. Yeah, Naruto answered with no hesitation. Well then, let's get this plan rolling then, Grant replied. So who's going to Jump City? Huntress asked. I will. I know that city like the back of my hand, Grant answered. I'll accompany Naruto to Arkham Asylum. If anything, I could provide a distraction. After all, Aqualad is still seen as a hero, Calder replied. I'll go to Cadmus then, Jade stated. I know where they keep the vials at, so I'll come with you, Jade. Megan replied, getting a nod from Jade. Are you going to help us, Cassandra? Naruto asked as Cassandra walked out of her hiding place and nodded at Naruto. Well, come with me then, Cassandra. If all else fails, then you can just knock them out then, Grant stated. Let's start then, Huntress replied as the plan was underway. With Batman, he was having no luck in figuring out what exactly made up this poison and it was hurting him. Robin or Batgirl were never this badly hurt before. Maybe he should. No, he wasn't going to disband them just because of this. They were his soldiers after all, just like Robin and Batgirl. Maybe some outside help wouldn't hurt. He picked up a phone and dialed a number. Hello Adam. This is Batman here. I need your help, Batman stated before explaining what was going on. Huntress had teleported both Grant and Cassandra downtown Jump City. The two were in their civilian attires walking around town. It was still early in the morning, so the Teen Titans may not be around town just yet, but then again it was Thursday morning in Jump City, and if his sources were right then the Titans just might be out early. Let's see if I'm right then. Cinderblock and Plasmus should be doing their regular routine today, Grant stated, drawing a questionable look from Cassandra. The two usually pull crimes on different sides of town. Plasmus goes for jewelry while Cinderblock goes for money, Grant explained, getting a nod from his partner as an alarm went off. The two turned and saw Plasmus was in a jewelry store. Let's go to a rooftop and wait for the Titans to show, Grant said, getting a nod from Cassandra. The two quickly went to a nearby rooftop and waited for the Titans to show up. Cassandra saw the T-car was pulling up to the scene. Showtime, Grant stated before pulling out his cell phone and dialing a number. Henshin, he said while sliding the phone into his belt buckle as his Red X suit was on. He turned and saw Cassandra was wearing a dark blue bodysuit which had gray armor on her shoulders. On her feet were a pair of dark blue boots, her shins were protected by gray greaves, her face was covered by a dark blue face mask which covered her nose on down. Red XALS. Oh, noticed she had on a silver belt that was similar to Batman's and had on a long dark blue scarf as well. You can Henshin as well, Red X asked, getting a nod from Cassandra, who pulled out a gray and blue USB stick. Void, a robotic voice announced from the USB stick. Nice name, Red X commented before turning his attention to the battle which was wrapping up. Okay Void, if things look bad I'll throw one of my smoke screen shurikens into the air. From there I believe you know what to do, right? Red X stated, getting a nod from Void. Going forth, Red X said to himself before teleporting to the battle. Looks like another one down, guys, Robin stated to his teammates as they were able to stop Plasmus. Guess who's back from vacation? A voice called from above them as they saw Red X standing on a street lamp. Red X, I thought we ran you out of town, Beast Boy said to the thief. Run me out of town, Red X replied before laughing at what he believed was a joke. Red X stopped laughing when he saw Beast Boy was serious. Wow, you really thought you did, huh boy? Blunder, Red X replied. Let's take him down, team, Robin stated to his teammates, who nodded. Jumping to conclusion, man, did you learn anything from Batman? Red X replied, drawing a look of anger from Robin. Shut up, you don't know anything. Teen Titans go, Robin shouted in fury. I mean, sure, it was his idea to go solo, but to say he didn't learn anything Batman was insulting. Red X quickly teleported once again so that he was behind the Titans. Look Robin, as much as I would love to beat you guys, I have more pressing matters to attend to, Red X announced in a serious tone. What, rob another museum or something? Cyborg guessed while looking at the thief. I need Starfire to come with me. Her sister is dying, Red X stated to the group of heroes. Washington, D.C., December 9, 11:30 a.m. Est. With Cheshire and Miss Martian, the two were teleported a few blocks away from the Cadmus building. Right now they were tacking the rooftops to get to the Cadmus building. All right, Miss Martian, where do we go? Cheshire asked. Miss Martian closed her eyes for a few seconds, trying to remember what room Superboy's blood was in. 5th floor, room 5B, Miss Martian answered as the duo were now on top of the Cadmus building. Rooftop door it is, Cheshire stated before using a lockpick to open the door. The two made their way into the building. How are we going to sneak around? Miss Martian asked as they saw a few scientists walking around. Henge, Cheshire muttered as her attire changed to that of a scientist. Ms. Martian did the same thing with her attire as well. The two were now walking around as scientists. Room 5B should be on this floor, Miss Martian stated as they saw the door. This should be it, CHES Higher replied as before she could open the door. The door opened to reveal two scientists were cleaning out the room. Oh, is our shift over? One of the scientists asked as Miss Martian shook her head no. Ah man, the female scientist complained while packing up the boxes. What happened to the blood vials that were in this room? Cheshire asked. They have been packing that stuff up and shipping it to the Cadmus branch in Metropolis. The male scientist answered. So what are you guys packing? Miss Martian asked. The last of Project Kerr stuff mostly. I can't believe the project was a failure. To think we went through so much only to have those League of Shadows members steal our work. The female scientist answered. How about we help you move the rest of this stuff? You guys take a break. 15 minutes at the most. Cheshire said, getting a nod from the two scientists. 15 minutes is all I need. The male scientist replied as the two left the room. All right, Miss Martian, let's start our search, Cheshire stated before putting on a pair of rubber gloves that was in the room. They didn't want to leave fingerprints after all. Agreed, Miss Martian replied before putting on some gloves as well and getting to work. Arkham Asylum, December 9, 11:30 a.m. Est. With Ghost and Aqualad. The two were near Arkham Asylum. Ghost had to admit that this had any of the Anbu prisons beat by miles. I mean, this place looked scary even in the middle of the day. Okay Ghost, do your thing while I keep the warden busy. Aqualad stated, getting a nod from Ghost, who vanished into thin air. With Ghost, he was now on top of one of the few buildings that was on Arkham Island. Ghost remembered that Huntress said most villains were kept in the penitentiary. Penitentiary. There it is. Naruto though, to himself while seeing the building was across from him. He pressed a button on his mask as a heads-up display appeared. He now had a map of the penitentiary on screen. Time to move in. Ghost sighed to himself before disappearing from his spot on the roof. He was now on the rooftop of the penitentiary building. He saw a window and used the Shunshin Jutsu to get him inside. Let's hope this map works. Ghost muttered while making his way through the building, making sure he wasn't caught by the security cameras. Stairwell should be on my left, Naruto thought to himself before seeing the stairwell. He quickly made his way downstairs and saw multiple jail cells. Most of them were personalized to fit the villain. Hey ninja guy, get me outta here, a voice called as Ghost turned to see a femme. Ale with long blonde hair who had her hands on her hips. He saw that she was wearing a orange jumpsuit like most inmates would. Who are you? Ghost asked as a cold laugh came from another cell. Shut it, you walking snowman, Harley shouted from her cell. Ghost had a feeling that if this kept going, then the result wouldn't be in his favor. With Red X, my sister is dying, Starfire said, not believing that it could be true. Yes, she is Starfire. Now we can save her, Red X started to explain when he was cut off. No way are we going to believe you. Beast Boy replied. I agree with Beast Boy. You are a thief after all. Cyborg added on. Don't believe him, Star. Besides, how would he even know Blackfire? Robin replied. I have friends who are villains, Boy blunder, but that's not the point here. I need Starfire to come with me so we can save her. Red X stated, trying to get the red-haired Tamaranian to come with him. He's not lying, Raven announced to her teammates, which shocked Starfire even more. Her sister was really dying. My sister would never die, Starfire said, not even believing Raven at the time. Blackfire, her older and stronger sister who swore she would get revenge on her, was dying. It just felt too unreal, and hearing it from Red X didn't help either. I'm going to hate doing this, but I need to get my point across, Grant thought to himself before steeling his resolve. Quote, you know about her immune system, don't you, Starfire? Red X asked in a cold voice that shocked the Titans. Red X was always joking around when they fought. They have never seen him serious. Face it, S. Starfire, the last member of your family is about to die and you're going to do nothing about it. Red X shouted as Starfire started shaking. Red X's cold tone was something she was not used to. I mean, SLA. They had a somewhat cold voice, but Red X's voice was just different. Leave her alone, Robin replied quickly, not wanting to see Starfire in such a state. Listen, Robin, this does not concern you or any of the other Titans for that matter. Right now Starfire has a decision to make. Either she comes with me and save her sister, or she leaves with you and has to live with the knowledge that the last of her true family has passed and she did absolutely nothing about it. Red X stated, hoping that his intimidation tactic would work. Come on guys, let's leave, Cyborg said as the Titans turned around and left. It's tearing you up inside, isn't it, Starfire? I mean, Tamarinians are such emotional creatures after all. Red X replied as Starfire stopped walking. Starfire didn't want to show it, but it was. Hey guys, there is a bank robbery in progress. They're saying it's Cinderblock. Cyborg informed the Titans, trying to get them to leave the area. Letting your own family die. Such a shame for a hero. Red X said as he was about to pull out one of his smokescreen X's to throw into the air to signal void. Right before he could throw it, Starfire's emotions were coming out in the form of tears as S. He pulled out her Titan's communicator and looked at it for a few seconds before coming up with a decision. I'm sorry friends, but I cannot do this. Starfire stated to the Titans, who were in shock. What are you talking about, Starfire? Robin asked with concern in his voice. I have to go with Red X. I cannot live with the guilt of not trying to help my sister. Starfire answered. I have a feeling that's true. Raven muttered to herself as Tamarinians indeed rely on their emotions, and the news of Blackfire possibly dying along with the guilt trip Red X put her on must be taking a toll on her. Then let us come as well if it's true. Robin stated as Red X shook his head no. Sorry, but I just need Starfire. Nothing more, nothing less. Red X replied. No deal, dude. Beast Boy said to Red X, who shrugged his shoulders. I believe that's her decision, Green Bean. Red X proclaimed. I'm going with Red X, and that's final, friends. Starfire said in a confident tone. Starfire's resolve was back, and it appeared stronger than ever. Starfire. You can't. Robin started before Starfire cut him off. You do not control me, Robin. The last member of my true family is dying, and I will not stand by and watch it happen. Starfire replied, shocking the Titans before dropping her Titan's communicator on the ground and walking towards Red X. I am serious about this matter, Red X. So please take me to her. Let me get my friend and we can jet. Red X said before radioing Void that it went well. A minute later, Void was walking onto the scene. She could see that all of the Titans had different emotions going through them. The one emotion they all had in common was that they were sad. Otherwise than that, the emotions varied. Especially with Raven, since it looked like she was struggling to stay in control of her emotions. We got her. Red X said through the radio. Good job. I'll teleport you three to the medic bay. Huntress replied as the trio disappeared in a bright light. Well, look on the bright side, guys. At least we got Plasmus. Beast Boy said, trying to lighten the situation as they saw Plasmus got away. This is just not our day. Raven commented as Robin picked up Starfire's communicator and looked at it. It's not. Robin said before putting the communicator in his pocket. With Miss Martian and Cheshire, the two were finally able to find the 2 huge gallons which contained Superboy's blood. They looked at the label and were shocked that Superboy not only had Superman's DNA going through him but Lex Luthor as well. Let's get out of here, Cheshire said as the two start. Ed to walk out of the room when 2 more scientists came into the room. Oh, you guys can go on break once you take those containers down. A scientist informed them, getting a nod from Cheshire and Miss Martian. We will. Miss Martian replied as the two left the building and radioed Huntress, letting her know that the mission was complete. Teleporting you two now, Huntress informed them as the two were gone. With Ghost. Where is Poison Ivy and Bane? Ghost asked as he really didn't have time for games. Oh, look who's a little bit angry. Harley answered. You're better off talking to someone else, boy. A cold voice stated as Ghost walked forward and saw Mr. Freeze was in his ice-themed jail cell. So where are they, Mr. Freeze? Ghost asked as Harley couldn't believe it. He knows Frosty the Snowman but not her. Even the younger villains know me. Freeze commented while looking at the calendar, not sparing a glance at the person outside his cell. Call me what you want. I need to know where they are. Ghost replied in a cold tone. Demanding too. Very well then. Bane is a few cells back while Poison Ivy is in a dome below us. Freeze explained as he turned to look at the person he was talking to. Only to see that he had disappeared. That boy was a ghost. Freeze muttered to himself, making a note to find him once he was out of Arkham. With Ghost. Bane. Ghost called out as he was at the muscular man's cell. He saw the villain stir since he was asleep. What are you doing here, kid? Bane asked the masked kid. Breaking you out, of course. 2 of my friends needs help and you're the only person I can turn to. Ghost answered as Bane nodded. All right then. Get me out of here then. Bane replied as Ghost brought his right hand up to the lock. It started to glow dark blue for a few seconds as the lock on the door started to spark a bit before the door was opened. We have one more stop to make, Bane. Ghost informed the man who nodded. Fine by me, Bane replied as the duo made their way down another flight of stairs. Mr. Free's directions were right since Poison Ivy was indeed in a dome. Ghost, what are you doing here? She asked, not wanting him to get in trouble. Breaking you out of here. Two of my friends needs your help and I'm not about to let them die. Ghost answered as Poison Ivy nodded. She could reform another day. Then get me out of here then, Ghost. Poison Ivy said as Ghost used lightning chakra just like he did with Bane's to open the dome. How are we getting out of here? Poison Ivy asked as the alarms were going off. Hang on tight, Ghost ordered as the trio left the room in a yellow blur as they appeared on the rooftop of the Arkham North building. How did we get up here? Bane asked with confusion in his voice as Ghost picked up a yellow kunai. Secret, Ghost replied as two of his clones were now of the roof. In their hands were Bane and Poison Ivy's cloths. Thank you, Poison Ivy said to the clone who nodded before disappearing in a puff of smoke. I got them, Ghost stated through the radio. I'm leaving with the commissioner now. He just told me someone broke out Poison Ivy. Aqualad replied. We'll worry about that later. Teleport me please, Ghost said as the trio disappeared in a white light. Mount Justice, Medical Bay, December 9th, 1:30 p.m. Est. Ghost arrived with Poison Ivy and Bane. Ghost lead them to a place where they could change their cloths. Once changed, he lead them to the room in which his friends were in. He opened the door and saw a man wearing a red and blue suit with an atom on his chest was going over a few samples. Hey Bats, are you sure that I can't tell? The man started off once he saw Poison Ivy and Bane come into the room. Atom, right? Ghost asked, getting a nod from the masked hero. Look, I brought these two here to help you. Ghost explained, getting a nod from Atom. He could see the logic in the young hero's decision making. Poison Ivy began an expert in botany and toxicology, which Maya NS she was more than qualified for this situation. Add the person who originally made this formula and you have a team that just may be able to solve this case. Can we start the operation please? Our fire asked, wanting to know if they could start. She was sitting in a chair in the room. I see the logic in your choice. As long as we have the same goal, I don't mind working with you guys. Atom replied. Then who does? Bane asked as a person walked into the room. I do, a cold voice stated as the two villains turned to see it was none other than Batman who had come in. Look Batman, Ghost friend's life is on the line right now. Glare at me all you want to, but we have lives to save. Poison Ivy replied, not backing down from Batman's cold stare. Let's get to work, Atom. Bane said as the trio began the operation in order to save the two teenagers from death. Mount Justice, December 9th, 6 p.m. Est. The door to the medical room has been closed since 1:30. Right now the group of young heroes were in the briefing room, going over the information Naruto's clone overheard from the conversation Cobra leader and Sensei was having. They were planning on doing something big on January 15th on Santa Prisca. They each were talking about different theories as to what might just happen when Batman came into the room. How did the operation go? Ghost asked the Dark Knight. It was a success. With Poison Ivy and Bane's help we were able to come up with an antitoxin for the two of them. Also with their help we were able to rebuild Blackfire's immune system so that she doesn't have to wear that necklace all the time. Batman informed the group, who were happy that their efforts weren't in vain. That's good to hear, Red X replied, but that does not exclude your actions. What you did today was completely foolish. Breaking out two villains, let alone two from my Rouge's gallery. Pull another stunt like that and there will be no more outsiders. Batman stated in the coldest tone he could muster before leaving the room. I think he's more mad that he couldn't solve it on his own. Huntress said while entering the room. Batman does have his prideful moments after all. Green Arrow added on. I'm just glad they're safe. Miss Martian commented, feeling that she could sleep without worry now. Same here, Black Canary replied. Where's Bane and Poison Ivy? Aqualad asked, not seeing them. Batman's about to teleport them into Arkham Asylum. They actually wanted to go back, which shocked me. Green Arrow replied. I want to at least say bye to them. Ghost said as they did help them. Well, hurry. Huntress replied as Ghost went into the main room. Main room, December 9, 6:45 p.m. Est. Ghost arrived just in time to see that Batman was typing the in coordinates on the computer. "Hey, I just wanted to say thank you," Ghost said, getting a nod from Bane. "If you need us, you know where to find us, kid," Bane replied as Poison Ivy gave Ghost a hug for a few seconds. "Lucky. Bah," Nate thought to himself as Poison Ivy released the hug. "This does not change anything between us," Batman stated to two of his more notable opponents, while getting up from the computer. "It wasn't supposed to, Bats," Bane replied. "See you when I get out again, Bats. I assure you that you will see a changed me," Poison Ivy said. "Teleport," Batman ordered as Poison Ivy and Bane were now out of Mount Justice. Gotham City. December 9, 7 p.m. Est. Bane and Poison Ivy were expecting to be right outside Arkham, but they weren't. Actually, they were right outside the city, to be exact. "You have a sheet of paper on your waist, Ivy," Bane said as Poison Ivy grabbed the paper and read what was on it. She could do nothing but smile. She showed the letter to Bane, who started grinning at what was on it. "That kid is smart, huh, Ivy?" Bane commented before crumbling the paper up and throwing it away. "So what are we going to do until January 15th? Poison Ivy asked. "The only thing we can do, Ivy. Stay out of trouble until then," Bane replied as the two started walking into Gotham City. Mount Justice. December 9, 7:15 p.m. Est. "Are you sure I can't tell anyone about this, Batman? I mean, these kids are interesting," Adam stated to the Dark Knight. "I know they are, and that is why you will keep your mouth shut." "I don't want the Justice League in my business," Batman replied. "Not even Diana?" Adam asked. "Try me, Adam, and I will make sure that those myths about me are true," Batman answered in a cold tone just to get his point across. "Which one exactly?" Adam questioned, as there were multiple rumors about Batman. "Heck, even the League had their own myths about Batman." "All of them," Batman replied as Adam nodded before giving Batman a USB stick. "Look, on that flash drive is a way in which you may be able to turn Superboy into a full Kryptonian. The reason why the poison affected him so badly was because he's half of Superman DNA and half of Lex Luthor's DNA in him. By turning him full Kryptonian, there is a strong chance that his powers will evolve into that of Superman's," Adam explained, getting a nod from Batman. "So that's why he only has a few of Superman's powers, because he's not a full Kryptonian," Batman concluded, getting a nod from Adam. "That explains most of it. Now, if you don't mind teleporting me home. I have a wife waiting," Adam replied as Batman typed in Adam's house coordinates. "Maybe I should introduce them to Barbara," Bruce thought to himself before shrugging the thought of to think about for another time. It was dark on the huge island known as Themyscira. This island, D, is mostly known for the Amazons that live there. Only a few men have been on the island, but even then they were not trusted. At the moment, a woman wearing a red bodysuit with golden gauntlets, a pair of golden boots and a golden utility belt was walking around the island. She had long black hair and had on a black trench coat as well. Right now she was approaching two Amazons who were on the ground as they appeared to be passed out. "Interesting," the woman thought to herself before pulling out two syringes and sticking one into each Amazon. She pulled the pump on the syringes and watches blood from both of the Amazons came out. Seems the people at Cobra know what they're doing. While looking at the syringes and seeing that it had small traces of a light green substance, she quickly put the syringes in her coat pocket and walked off. Outside Mount Justice. December 21, 9:45 a.m. Est. Currently, Naruto was sparring with Cassandra. The two were in their training attires and were going at until Starfire came outside. She saw the two sparring and quickly broke up the fight, tossing Naruto a few feet away from Cassandra. "Starfire, what was that all about?" Naruto questioned the alien, while getting up from his sand-made crater. Blackfire was right. Starfire did need to learn when to hold back her strength. "You and friend Cassandra were fighting?" Starfire answered as Cassandra shook her head no. "We were sparring, Starfire. Do the Teen Titans do this?" Naruto replied as the alien thought about her time with the Titans. "We do obstacle courses, but we do not fight one another in this sparring." Starfire answered as Grant walked towards the scene. "Hey Naruto, Cassandra. Bats need us in the meeting room," Grant announced, getting a nod from the two. "We'll see you later, Star. Duty calls," Naruto replied as the duo left, leaving Starfire on the beach. Maybe I can perform the eavesdropping Beast Boy does. Starfire thought to herself before deciding to go to the meeting room. Meeting room 10 a.m. Est. The group of outsiders were now in the meeting room. Batman was standing by the holographic monitor while Question was sitting in a chair with a wireless keyboard on his lap. Good to see everyone is here. Batman started off before tapping the large monitor as multiple images appeared up on the screen. One was Santa Prisca, the second was the Cobra symbol, the third was a member of the League of Shadows. The fourth was Amanda Waller and the last was Deathstroke. Now we know that Cobra is planning something big on Santa Prisca on January 15th. If our sources are GHT, then Deathstroke probably informed Amanda Waller of the event that will happen on the island. Batman concluded. So the question on the table is, what exactly is Cobra planning on highlighting? Question asked the group. Well, there were new cases of venom that were being shipped apparently. Calder answered, getting a nod from Batman. Also, they weren't touching the old venom. Blackfire added on. Our main objective is to stop Cobra from showcasing whatever it may be. Batman replied, getting a nod from the group of teenagers. Should we inform Supergirl about this? I mean, chances are we might run into Galatea. Connor suggested to Batman, who shrugged off the suggestion. Well, Alfred did say she came by the mansion yesterday. I could only guess she has questions about Connor. Bruce thought to himself. Sounds like a good idea. After all, Galatea is more of a personal problem for her. Question replied as an alarm started to go off. What's going on, Bats? Grant asked as Question star. Ted, typing on the keyboard as an image of a woman with long black hair wearing a golden tiara, was at one of the few entrances into Mount Justice. Her attire was a red, white and blue costume with a golden phoenix going across her chest. She had on a pair of red boots and a pair of silver gauntlets on. It was none other than Wonder Woman herself trying to enter the mountain. Question. Turn on the microphone. Batman ordered as Question pressed a button. Batman. I need your help, so please open up. Wonder Woman stated while knocking on the hidden door. She didn't want to destroy their old but it appears that it was getting to that. So Batman, what should we do? Question asked as Batman thought about her plea for a few seconds. Diana was indeed a close friend to the Dark Knight, but at the same time she was one of the original 7 members of the League, which meant she had a bigger pull than Atom if he told her about what was going on. Let her in. You guys suit up and get ready for anything. That includes you too, Starfire. Batman ordered before leaving the room. I take it those two are close? Question. Naruto asked, getting a shrug from the man wearing the blue fedora. Ya know, I'm not sure. I want to say so, but then again I'm not Batman. Question replied before pressing another button his keyboard, which opened the door Wonder Woman was at. Henshin. Naruto, Jade, N.D. Grant said before their suits were now on. Cassandra pulled out a gray and blue USB stick. Void. The USB stick announced as a few seconds later her costume attire was on. Megan changed her cloths to her stealth attire. I don't wear tights, remember. I just have to change shirts, Connor replied as he, along with Blackfire and Calder, left the meeting room to change into their attires. Mount Justice. Main Hall. Wonder Woman was now waiting in the main hall, seeing as the door she was at had opened. She knew that Bruce would meet her here since it had been a while since she was inside Mount Justice. So what's wrong, Wonder Woman? A voice asked as Wonder Woman recognized that voice. She turned around and saw Batman make his way towards her. You don't have to call me Wonder Woman. I told you Hat. Wonder Woman started before Batman cut her off. I know, but I have a few friends here. Batman replied to the female Amazon, who nodded. Your friends are always interesting. Would it be too much if I were to meet them? Wonder Woman asked as Batman shook his head. No. Not at the moment. Why are you here, Wonder Woman? Batman questioned the Amazon, whose face changed to one with a saddened expression. Back on Themyscira. My fellow Amazons are in a coma, Batman. Not only that, but there have been recent kidnappings as well. She started off letting the Dark Knight take in the information before continuing. It appears that some type of poison that is causing this. I want to do something, but this is not my expertise. So I came to you since this seems to be up your alley. Wonder Woman finished. Interesting indeed. What did Queen Hippolyta have to say about this situation? Batman asked as Diana and her mother had a strange relationship. From what Diana had said, she has been trying to be OND with her mother since her exile was lifted. She is troubled about what she should do. For now she has the island on lockdown until this crisis has passed. Wonder Woman informed, getting a nod from Batman. I believe my friends can help you in this situation. Do you have any leads as to how they are being poisoned? Batman asked, getting a nod no from Wonder Woman. I just heard about it this morning. I do plan on going back later today though. Wonder Woman replied. Very well then. I'll get my friends right on the case then. What time were you going to the island? Batman said to the Amazon. I was going to leave around 11 o'clock. Why did you want to leave at the same time? Wonder Woman answered as Batman thought about it for a few seconds before coming to an decision. It would make it easier. Batman replied before getting a hug from Wonder Woman. Thank you. Wonder Woman whispered before breaking the hug and leaving the former base. Just what have I gotten myself into? Batman muttered to himself before leaving the main hall to inform outsiders that they had a mission today. Mount Justice. December 21, 11:00 a.m. Est. Hangar. Currently the group of young heroes were inside of the bio ship waiting to go. Batman had informed them of where they were going as well as what rules they had to follow. The major one for the males is not to be caught. Especially with this problem going along as well. You can say that the Amazons are ready to pin the blame on someone or something. Everyone is ready to depart, Batman. Miss Martian stated through the radio, waiting for Batman's reply. Very well. Stick close and follow me. Batman ordered as the hangar doors opened as the Batwing flew out, followed by the bio ship. As they were now outside Mount Justice and were now on course for Themyscira. A few minutes into the flight, Wonder Woman had caught up to them. She was asking multiple questions to Batman as to who was in the other ship. Batman told her that they could be trusted, which made the outsiders happy at the fact that Batman was trusting them. Themyscira. December 21, 12:30 p.m. Est. The group had finally made it to Themyscira. They had to admit that this place looked like paradise from an magazine ad, but better if it were possible. The island was shaped so that it appeared more as a canyon, with the city being in the middle with the rocky areas surrounding it. Get ready to land. Batman ordered as they were close to the island. Just give the word. Miss Martian replied as Batman landed the Batwing, with the bio ship also landing a few feet away from the Batwing. Batman quickly got out of his Batwing and went over to the bio ship. Wonder Woman also went with Batman towards the bio ship. Could you stand right here, Wonder Woman? My friends are shy. Batman said, getting a nod from Wonder Woman. She had heard that she could be intimating at times. Bio ship. The hatch to the bio ship opened as Batman walked in. He saw that the group of heroes were going over a few plans. I need Miss Martian, Starfire, Blackfire, and Void to accompany me with Wonder Woman. Batman ordered, getting a nod from the young heroes. We'll be doing our own recon as well, Bats, so don't worry. Red X replied. You get caught and I cannot save you. This isn't the States. Here on this island they play by their own rules. Batman informed the boys, who nodded. We'll move out once you guys are out of the area. Ghost replied, getting a nod from the Dark Knight before he exited the ship with the female heroines behind him. So these are your friends, Batman? Wonder Woman asked. Yes, they are. Batman started before pointing to Megan. This is Miss Martian, who is related to Jean. He said before pointing to the two sisters of the group. Blackfire and Starfire. Sisters from Tamaranian, with one being a former Teen Titan. He continued before pointing to Cassandra, who had her hood up to block her face. Last but not least, Void. She doesn't talk that much. Batman finished with the introductions. Interesting team here, Batman. Who knew you would have so many young heroines working with you? Wonder Woman commented. Let's get this investigation started, friends. Starfy re-announced, getting a chuckle from Wonder Woman. She's right. Blackfire said before looking at the bio ship for a few seconds. Well, I'll take you into the city first before we start searching the island. Wonder Woman informed the group as they started their trip to the city on the island. Bio ship. All right, guys. The coast is clear. Aqualad stated as the group was indeed gone, as Ghost was currently going through a few hand signs. What are you doing, Ghost? Red X asked as he had been repeating the same hand signs for the past few minutes. Trying to summon Gamakichi. Ghost answered, getting a head shake no from Superboy. You've been trying it for days, Ghost. Maybe you can't summon them since you're in a new world. Superboy said as Ghost let out a sigh in defeat. Maybe you should, Fina. LLY, crack open that scroll Sensei gave you. Red X suggested. Left it at home but I don't think it's time for me to open it up yet. Ghost replied. Sounds like something a sage would say. Now let's. Aqualad started before looking at one of the outside monitors. What's going on? Ghost asked as on a screen were two Amazons. One had long black hair and tanned skin. She was wearing a pair of black pants, a pair of silver boots. A silver tank top with a black phoenix going across her chest. Her companion was a blonde with medium-length hair and semi-tanned skin. She wore a pair of blue jeans, red boots, and a red tank top with a golden phoenix going across her chest. The two Amazons were Donna Troy and Cassie Sandsmark. Wonder Woman's in training, Superboy guessed. Well, whoever they are, they're coming this way, Cheshire replied as the two Amazons indeed were approaching the bio ship. Interesting, don't you think, Cassie? Donna asked while looking at the bio ship. I agree. I mean, look at the design of the ship. It's shaped like a bat. Cassie replied while looking at the batwing and its details. It would be cool if we could get off the island without getting in trouble. Donna said. That's it, Donna. We sneak aboard the ship and stay hidden until they land. Cassie replied. I was thinking more of the lines we asked Diana's friend if we could join his team of heroines. Donna suggested, getting a nod from Cassie. Way better than trying to sneak off the island. Cassie replied as the two left the ships and continued their walk around the island. Okay guys, let's move now. Aqualad ordered as the hatch to the bio ship opened. As the four males and female walked off the ship. I'll try to get into the city. See if I can overhear any leads about this poison thing. Red X stated, getting a nod from the four. I'll go underwater. No telling what may be under here. Aqualad said. Guess that leaves observations to me, Cheshire, and Ghost then. Superboy concluded. Let's meet back here no later than 2:30. Ghost ordered, getting a nod from his comrades. Got it, Aqualad said before diving into the ocean. 2:30 then, Superboy replied before sprinting away. He was going to check the higher areas of the island. See ya, Cheshire said before sprinting off in the opposite direction of Superboy. Later, Red X said before teleporting away as Ghost decided to go through the forest part of the island, not knowing that two Amazons saw the whole thing. Should we inform the Queen Hippolyta? Donna asked in a whisper. I say we follow the guy with the mask. He may be able to lead us to the person poisoning our fellow sisters. Cassie suggested. I suppose we could. Donna said as the two followed Ghost. Queen Hippolyta's castle. December 21st, 1 p.m. Est. The group of 6 were now in the city. The 4 young heroines had to say that the buildings were huge. The entire city had a royal aurora to it. Right now they were approaching Queen Hippolyta's castle. Best behavior everyone. Batman reminded them, getting a nod from each of them as they entered the castle. They were now staring at the queen, who had long black hair just like Wonder Woman. Her attire was a royal white dress that showed off her figure. On her head was indeed a crown like most kings or queens would wear. On her feet were a pair of black sandals, and on her wrist were a pair of silver gauntlets just like Wonder Woman was wearing. Nice to see you again, Diana. Batman. Queen Hippolyta greeted in a royal tone. The honor is all mine, Queen Hippolyta. Batman replied in a rasp. CTFUL tone, getting a chuckle from Hippolyta. You don't have to do all that now, Batman. Yourself, Superman, the one they call the Flash, along with the Martian named Jean have done enough, so no need for that. Queen Hippolyta said before turning her attention to the 4 heroines in the room. So who are those 4, Diana? The queen asked her daughter while looking at them with a critical eye. Shish. He was a queen after all, and her city's safety did indeed come first. They are allies of Batman, mother. Please introduce yourselves. Wonder Woman replied. I'm Miss Martian. Megan stated in a monotone voice, getting a nod from the queen. Miss Martian came off just like Jean did, which was a good thing. My name is Blackfire. Blackfire said while making eye contact with the queen, who smirked a bit. Someone who wasn't afraid to be confident. I am known as Starfire. Starfire informed the queen, who looked at her for a few seconds more. Starfire has a spirit of a warrior but hasn't been able to bring it out. As she now was looking at Void. She doesn't talk. Batman informed Queen Hippolyta, who nodded at the information. Can you at least take off your hood? I would like to see your face for a minute. Queen Hippolyta stated as Cassandra pulled her hood back and looked directly into Queen Hippolyta's eyes. Queen Hippolyta was shocked. She had the eyes of a killer, but not only that, but her gaze felt soul-piercing for some reason. You may out your hood back on. Queen Hippolyta ordered as Cassandra put her hood back on. Mother, I wanted to know if any new information has come up. 1. Der woman asked, getting a nod no from her mother. It appears nothing new has come up yet. I have my warrior Amazons searching the island for any clues that may lead into something. Queen Hippolyta informed the group. Very well then, I will take the others out onto the island then before taking them to the hospital. Wonder Woman said, getting a nod from her mother. If you come across anything, please let me know, Diana. Queen Hippolyta stated as the group left in search for clues for anything that could help solve this case. With Superboy. Western Mountain Side, 1:45 p.m. Est. He was currently on one of the many mountains the island had to offer. So far he hadn't been spotted. He was using his X-ray vision in certain areas just to make sure he didn't miss anything. He was shocked to see inside a mountain appeared to be a factory. A factory, Connor thought to himself before zooming in and seeing how actually was inside it. Those don't look like Amazons. Wait, those are Cobra scientists. He thought again, seeing what they were doing exactly. From what he could make it, they were experimenting on Amazons on the island, but how were they getting the bodies? He decided to head back to the bio ship and inform the others of what he saw. With Cheshire. Eastern side of Themyscira, 1:45 p.m. Est. Cheshire had been observing what was going on from her position, which was in one of the many trees on the island. So far nothing had happened until she saw 2 Amazons pass out right below her. She was about to go help them when she saw 2 people wearing black cloaks appeared and take the 2 Amazons away. Once the 2 were out of sight, Cheshire dropped from the tree and landed in the place where the 2 Amazons once were. Cheshire saw 2 bottles were on the ground. Just what is in this drink? Jade thought to herself while picking up the bottles. She was happy to see that there was some liquid left. Time to go back to the ship. I need to examine this. Jade thought to herself before going back to the bio ship. With Aqualad. Under Themyscira, 2 p.m. Est. His underwater search was going good. Nothing out the ordinary so far until he bumped into something. He rubbed his head and looked forward. Aqualad saw that nothing was in his way. He decided to knock on what he hit. He knocked on the invisible object, which started to come into color. A submarine was here all this time. Aqualad thou. GHT to himself before swimming back and seeing the entire thing for himself. The League of Shadows, no doubt. Aqualad concluded before deciding to swim back to the bio ship. With Red X, 2:15 p.m. Est. Red X had to say that so far his luck wasn't going so well. No leads on this wonderful island known as a man's paradise. He was about to call it a day when he saw a cloaked person was carrying an Amazon on his shoulders. This can't be right. What is the League of Shadows doing here? He asked himself before deciding to pursue the member. He continued to keep his distance until they were outside the city. Red X quickly threw a small red ball at the person's feet. A second later the League of Shadows member was stopped in his tracks thanks to Grant's X slime. So what is a League of Shadows member doing here? Red X asked the person. Like I'll tell you. The cloaked person replied. Fine by me then. Red X said before pulling out a X shuriken. What are you going to do with that? The cloaked person asked. Well, you're not going to tell me anything, so I've took it upon myself to call the natives. I'm sure they can make you sing. Red X answered. I will never talk. Cobra's dream will become a reality. The person shouted, believing that in the end Cobra's dream will become a reality. Your loss. Red X said before throwing the X shuriken up into the air. As the red-colored X exploded. Have fun now. Red X said before teleporting away. Knowing that the locals will make him talk by any means necessary. With Ghost. Water area 2:10 p.m. Est. Ghost was able to observe a few of the Amazons who were previously here. He did indeed take a few notes about their activities. Especially since the success of his books were indeed taking off. He had to, as his grandfather would say, find inspiration. Oh, how he wished Jiraiya was alive to witness this island. He was about to head back to the ship when he saw a large purple and black tiger appear. The tiger roared as a few minutes later another tiger and 2 smaller tigers appeared. If Ghost were to guess, then they were indeed a family made up of a tigress with her 2 cubs. The family of tigers started to drink the water as well as bathe in it. The same tigers from Santa Prisca. That's what's going on. The people are poisoned because of the tigers bathing in the water. There are multiple watering areas on this island after all. Naruto thought. Before looking at the family of tigers who appeared to be happy. And I doubt they know they're doing it. Naruto thought once more before deciding to head back to Bio's ship. You two can come out now. Ghost announced as no sound was made. I know you've been tailing me since I stepped foot off the ship, so it's no point anymore. Ghost continued as Donna and Cassie came from their hiding places. So masked man, why are you here huh? Cassie questioned Ghost, who chuckled a bit. You should know that after all. Ghost replied coolly, not giving into her intimidation tactics. Well, I believe you should come with us to the queen then. Donna said as Ghost shook his head no. Sorry, but I have to leave, but you can do me a favor and keep watch on that family of tigers. Ghost stated while pointing to the family of tigers. And why should we listen to you? Cassie challenged as Ghost disappeared and reappeared behind both of them. Simply because I could have ended both of you before you knew it. Ghost whispered in a cold tone, shocking the duo. But as long as we're on the same page, then we should have no problem, right? Ghost said in a happy tone, shocking how quickly his cold demeanor to that of a happy person. Just who are you? Donna asked as the two Amazons turned to look at Ghost up close. I'm just a ghost passing through. Remember that. Ghost answered before vanishing once again. Let's keep an eye on the tigers, Cassie. Donna said, getting a nod from Cassie. With Batman. Themyscira Hospital 2:14 p.m. Est. They were currently looking at the patients that were stated to be poisoned. They were indeed in a coma. Batman had taken a sample of the poison. He was looking at it with a critical eye until an explosion occurred. The group quickly went to an window and saw the smoke. Batum, and recognized the smoke and saw it was indeed from one of Red X's explosive X's. Batman guessed it must have been important if he would do such a thing that drew attention. A woman wearing a nurse's outfit came into the room. I need everyone to clear out. I will be trying to use this berry I found if it can awaken them from this coma-like state. The women announced, getting a nod from the heroes. Except for Void, who pulled her hood down. Void noticed the person's body had tensed up a bit, but not that much. That was when Void noticed her eyes and immediately attacked her. The women quickly blocked the attack. What are you doing, friend Void? Starfire asked as Void hit the nurse with a powerful kick which sent her flying out of the room. Void jumped out and followed her. Who does she think? She is attacking one of the many nurses here, Batman. Wonder Woman demanded, wanting answers. Void wouldn't act like this unless something was up. Miss Martian, let me see that berry. Batman replied as Miss Martian levitated the berry. Wonder Woman gasped at the sight of the berry the nurse was going to use. That berry is only grown on the western side of the island, but even then they are hard to get. Wonder Woman informed the others. What did they do exactly? Blackfire asked. They are used for a powerful sleeping toxin. Wonder Woman answered. So the Amazons that were asleep could have been up by now, correct? Starfire asked, getting a nod from Batman, whose radio went off. Batman. The Dark Knight stated through the radio link on his cowl. Cobra along with the League of Shadows are on this island. They are using those tigers we were telling you about to poison the water system here. Also, it appears that the League of Shadows are sending people to kidnap Amazons as well. They are hiding them in a factory on the western side of the island. From what Superboy said, it's inside of a mountain. Red X informed the Dark Knight, who put the puzzle together. Everything made sense now. I want you to move in and save those Amazons first. If you can get any type of information, you can. Remember, the Amazons come first. Batman ordered. We know that already. See ya when you get here. Red X said before cutting off the radio. Batman pressed a button on his utility belt and looked outside. Here's the plan. There is a mountain on the western side of the island. That is where Cobra has set up shop. We go there and save who we can. Batman stated as the Batwing was approaching the building. I'll take the lead. Wonder Woman said before flying out the room and heading towards the mountain area. Follow her. Batman ordered as the three flies flew out the room as Batman jumped into the Batwing and followed them. Western mountain side. The outsiders were now inside of the false mountain. They saw that an alarm was going off, which was accompanied by a blue and white sirens going off as well. The group guessed they knew they were coming. They're pulling out. Blue and white means drop everything and leave. Cheshire informed the group. Let's hurry then. Superboy said as they all ran through the factory. As a few minutes later they arrived at the main area of the factory. He saw that there was a huge submarine that was in the middle of the room. They heard a few screams and quickly went to that direction. Superboy punched the door open and saw about 30 Amazons were in the room. A few Amazons were kids while most of them were adults and teenagers. "Come this way," Superboy stated as the Amazons who gave him a questionable look. "We're trying to save you." Chess. Hire said as the group listened to her and ran out the room. "Follow me," Cheshire ordered as she led them out of the area. "Red X, see if you can get anything," Ghost stated as Red X started teleport into different areas on the factory in search of anything useful. "I'll back up Cheshire," Superboy said following the group of Amazons. "You find anything X?" Ghost asked as Red X appeared by his side. "I was able to get a laptop and a few notes," Red X answered as the place started to come down. "Let's get out of here," Ghost said as the two left the area just as the factory started to collapse. Outside the area, the group of Amazons along with the outsiders were able to get out of the factory. Right now tensions were high with most of the older Amazons glaring at the male heroes. A minute later Wonder Woman along with Blackfire, Starfire, and Miss Martian appeared. "Is everyone alright?" Wonder Woman asked as she observed that most of them were physically okay but there is no telling at mental damage the Cobra scientist could have done. "Just what are men doing on this island, Diana?" A voice questioned as Wonder Woman turned and saw a Amazon with long red-orange hair walk onto the scene. She was dressed in a black tank top that stopped at her midriff, a pair of brown pants with a black belt, on her feet were a pair of black sandals, and on her wrists were covered with silver gauntlets. On her back was a sword and shield. This was Artemis of Bana Mighal. She was one of the strongest Amazons on the island beside Diana and Queen Hippolyta. "There are with me Artemis," Batman started before jumping out of his Batwing. "And if you have a problem with them then take it up with me," Batman finished in a cold voice. "I'm just looking out for my fellow sisters, Batman. Surely you understand that," Artemis replied. "I understand that. Now that the problem has been solved we will be leaving," Batman said getting a nod from Artemis as Queen Hippolyta arrived on a horse. "Before you go, Batman, I would like to have a word with Starfire if you mind," Queen Hippolyta stated. "I believe it's up to her," Batman replied as Starfire walked over to Queen Hippolyta who got off her horse. "We will be back before you depart, so do not worry," Queen Hippolyta announced as the two walked away from the area. With Void, she had pursued the nurse to an open location on Themyscira Island. Right now the two were staring one another down, each one trying to read the other person before attacking. "It appears Batman has trained you well," the nurse started as Void continued her glare at the women in front of her. "Let me show you how I really am," she continued before pressing a button on her watch as her nurse attire changed to a red and golden costume with black trench coat. Sandra recognized the woman's face and started to feel something stir inside of her but wasn't sure what it was. "So do you have a name?" the woman asked as Cassandra felt like she should take off her face mask for some reason. She just couldn't shake this feeling. Cassandra took off her face mask, shocking the person. "Cassandra, they said you died," the woman said with sadness in her voice. Andra finally recognized the woman in front of her. This was her mother, Sandra Wooson to few but known as Lady Shiva to many. The two had so many thoughts going through their heads. Things they wish they could say. The two were brought out of their thoughts when a helicopter was coming towards them. Lady Shiva reached her right hand up as Cassandra saw a rope which her mother grabbed before being pulled up. "Is this what it means to have emotions?" Cassandra thought to herself before pulling up her mask and leaving the area. Themyscira, December 21, 5:15 p.m. Est. Right now the outsiders were boarding the bio ship. They were waiting for Starfire to show up so that they could leave. A few minutes later Starfire appeared with Donna and Queen Hippolyta standing beside her. Batman was talking to one woman who was asking him multiple questions about his friends. "I am sorry to inform you but I will not be coming back with you," Starfire stated, shocking the group. "What are you talking about, Starfire?" Blackfire demanded, wanting to know what exactly her sister was talking about. "I want to stay here on Themyscira, sister. I feel as though I can learn from the Amazons and learn how to finally control my powers. Queen Hippolyta offered to help me in this." Besides, I'm not a Titan anymore and I feel out of place with you guys. Starfire answered as she felt uncomfortable being with the outsiders. Hey, if you ever in town you know where we are. Starfire Ghost said as most of the outsiders wished Starfire the best. Grow stronger, sister. I want to fight you once I finally master my powers. Starfire stated to Blackfire, who was smiling. Consider it a promise. Blackfire replied as she was happy that Starfire was now at a place where she could finally bring out that warrior spirit. Queen Hippolyta, I want to know if it is all right with you if I were to go with the outsiders and accompany them. Donna asked the Queen Hippolyta, who thought about it for a few seconds. Very well then. You have my blessing, but you must ask them as it is not my decision. Queen Hippolyta answered as Donna looked at the outsiders, who nodded. We can always use another girl on the team. Chess. Hire replied as Donna was happy to get the team's approval, but then she looked at Batman, who nodded in approval. Diana had talked to him about putting an Amazon on his team when they were walking to Queen Hippolyta's castle. Now that she knew about the outsiders, this was his way of keeping Diana's mouth closed about his operation going on. We're leaving, Batman ordered before getting into his Batwing and leaving the island. The outsider went into the bio ship and left the island as well. Ra's al Ghul Castle. December 21st, 9:35 p.m. Est. Lady Shiva was in her room furious at the fact that she had been lied to. She was told her daughter had died, but she was fighting on the side of justice at that. She was now taking a few deep breaths to calm herself down. I will find you my daughter. You can believe that, Sandra thought to herself before deciding to get some sleep. She was going to have a long conversation with Ra's al Ghul tomorrow morning. Gotham City. December 21st, 9:35 p.m. Est. Inside of an old warehouse was Bane and Poison Ivy. The two were pretty much staying out of trouble and doing a few odd jobs for money. Right now the two were discussing information they had about Cobra and the League of Shadows. Well, the kid's letter did say that this big thing just may be an animal. Bane said, remembering the letter Ghost gave Ivy before they were teleported. A huge poisonous animal, but Eve. And then this is the League of Shadows and Cobra after all. Poison Ivy replied, whatever it may be, we'll be ready for it. Bane said as he had been training for when he would be able to take back his island. You're not the only one training, Bane. Poison Ivy replied as she waved her hand as multiple vines came up from the grounds quickly. Hopefully Deathstroke will be in attendance. I want to get him back for kidnapping me. Poison Ivy thought, as that was the only name in the letter. With Cassie Sandsmark. Over the Pacific Ocean. December 21st, 9:45 p.m. Est. Donna wasn't the only one who could leave the island. She too was able to get permission from Queen Hippolyta to leave the island. Also, she was able to talk to Starfire, who gave her some good advice before she left the island. She said that it would be a giant T that stands out. Cassie thought to herself as she continued flying over the Pacific Ocean until a huge tower in the shape of a T caught her attention. Cassie could only smirk at the time thanks to Starfire's information. Teen Titans, huh? Sounds like fun, Cassie thought to herself before flying faster towards the T-shaped tower. Walking down one of the many hallways in the Cadmus building, Deathstroke and Amanda Walker were currently having a conversation. So will she be ready for tonight, Amanda? This is an opportunity that Cadmus and STAR Labs cannot afford to miss after all. Deathstroke stated. Why don't you see for yourself? Amanda replied while making a hand gesture to the wall on the right. The wall itself was made of glass. Deathstroke looked into the wall and saw a blonde with short hair wearing a white bodysuit was destroying multiple robots. Project Galatea appears to be back in fighting form, I presume. Deathstroke concluded, getting a nod from Amanda Walker. Indeed she is. Also, I will be sending Brahm Stick with you as well, Deathstroke, on this excursion. Amanda informed the villain. You mean Tio Maro's assistant? Deathstroke questioned as he felt a breeze pass him for a few seconds. Deathstroke turned around to see Mr. Twister approaching them. Please, call me Mr. Twister. The armor-wearing man answered while stopping a feet away from the duo. So I have a man wearing advanced robotic armor and a clone of Supergirl on my team, correct? Deathstroke concluded, getting a nod from Amanda Walker. Well, let's get started, shall we? Deathstroke finished as Galatea came out of the glass room with a bottle of water in her hand and a red towel over her shoulder. Deathstroke and Mr. Twister, I presume. Galatea said, getting a nod from the two. Just keep up with me and you'll be fine. Galatea finished before taking a sip of water. Someone is arrogant for being a clone. Deathstroke thought to himself as the group of four start. Dita walked towards the underground hangar in the building. Mount Justice. January 15, 8:30 p.m. Est. The outsiders were in the main room waiting to get the signal to go. Right now the group was going over a few strategies they were going to use while on the island. They were brought out of their conversation when Batman came into the room. Now I'm sure you know the importance of this mission, correct? Batman stated, getting a nod from the group of heroes in the room. I am taking no chances this mission, so therefore you will be having a new teammate on your team for the time being. Batman finished, drawing looks of shock from those without masks. Why would Batman put a new member on the team at the last minute? So who's the new person then? Ghost asked as Batman pointed to a hallway. The P turned their attention and saw that it was none other than Supergirl wearing a black shirt instead of her usual blue one. The Kryptonian symbol on her chest was now silver instead of red. Her once blue skirt was now silver and her once red boots were now black. Hope you guys don't mind me coming along. Supergirl asked the group of outsiders. This is your fight just as much as ours. Superboy answered as the rest of the group nodded. If Batman's intel was right like it usually is, then Galatea would be making her appearance on Santa Prisca. That's good to hear, Supergirl replied as Jean came into the room. I'm just here to wish you all luck. Jean stated as Huntress, Question, Green Arrow, and Black Canary came into the room. Please, you just wanted to see Megan before she left. Green Arrow replied, seeing through the Green Martian's statement. I'll be fine, Uncle Jean. Miss Martian reassured, getting a nod from Jean. I suggest you all get going. A voice announced as Red Tornado entered the room. The scanners are showing activity near Santa Prisca. Stop whatever Cobra is trying to showcase. Batman ordered as the group left the room and went to the hangar where they boarded the bio ship and flew off to Santa Prisca. Santa Prisca. January 15, 9:30 p.m. Est. The outsiders were near Santa Prisca. They were shocked to see so many boats were at this event. Whatever Cobra made, it must be huge. Especially with so many people on Santa Prisca. You would think the local military would question something like this, but then again Santa Prisca is in no one's jurisdiction after all. Right now they were rethinking their strategy, especially since the majority of the people here would be civilians. The group highly doubted so many villains would turn up to see what Cobra and the League of Shadows had planned. First things first, we land and do a quick recon of the island. After seeing who's here, we go from there. Ghost stated, getting a nod from the rest of his teammates. Something is approaching us fast. Miss Martian announced while looking at the monitor. Can you identify what it is, Miss M? Red X asked as Miss Martian started hitting a few keys on her console. Bringing it up on the monitor. Miss Martian announced as an image of Galatea appeared on screen. Supergirl quickly got up from her chair and went to the bay door. Where are you going? Cheshire asked the blonde Kryptonian. I have a score to settle. Supergirl answered before she opened the door and flew out of it. Kryptonians are stubborn. Blackfire commented, getting a glare from Superboy. Superboy, make sure she's safe, all right. Last time she barely had an edge on her. Aqualad ordered, getting a nod from the Superman clone who jumped out of the ship. If Cadmus is here, then we have to hurry. Red X said as Miss Martian flew the ship towards the secret entrance. Secret entrance. January 15, 9:40 p.m. Est. The group was able to land the bio ship in one of the many open spaces on the island. Miss Martian also cloaked the ship just in case. Right now the group was making their way through the underground tunnel no problem. They were now at the point where they were at the door which led into the factory. How are we going to see who's in there without being seen? Blackfire asked as Ghost summoned a clone of himself. Transform. Ghost ordered as his clone changed into a fly. The Lee flew under the door and was now in the factory building. The fly was seeing multiple people. From Sensei from the League of Shadows to Deathstroke. Most of the people in the room were mobsters looking to get an edge on their competition in their hometown. The only things you have shown us so far are a couple of animals. A few tigers, lions, gorillas, and sharks. Can you please make this worth my time? A mobster complained, getting a nod from a Cobra member. I haven't even shown you the main event yet. The Cobra scientist who was wearing a blue cloak replied as a member of League of Shadow. WS walked towards the center of the factory. Tigress, Black Spider, and Hook. Would you please hook this man into the chair for me? The Cobra's scientist asked, getting a nod from the three assassins who hooked the man into the chair. What you are about to witness is perfection in its finest form. The Cobra's scientist announced while pulling out a vial which seemed to be glowing a light green color. This is what will give you the edge against anyone who dares to stand in your way. The Cobra's scientist continued before pouring the substance down his throat. The man started to feel strange as his body started to tremble, scaring the mobsters in the room. Behold what I would like to call Cobra Venom. The scientist finished as the man started to grow. His body was now more muscular than before. He now had a green aurora on him as the man got up from his chair and started to flex his new muscles. How do you feel? The Cobra scientist asked the League of Shadows member. I feel fantastic. I'm in control. The League of Shadow member replied as he reverted back to his original form, causing a jaw-dropping reaction. Bane had to use a device to help control his venom while this person LD just will his way back to his original form. Unlike Bane's formula for venom, you can see that Cobra Venom gives you the ability to control your muscle growth. The Cobra scientist finished before going over to a table which had a black briefcase on it. The scientist opened the briefcase up to reveal multiple vials of the Cobra Venom. I will be taking over from here, Professor William. A cold voice announced as the mobsters were shocked to see a man wearing what appeared to be a red snake-themed cloak walk to the center of the room. The man's skin was pale as he wore a pair of red gauntlets, with a golden trim on them, along with a pair of black pants and red boots. Lord Cobra was here and was taking over this event. Yes, Lord Cobra. Professor William replied before leaving the center of the room. I am willing to buy that entire briefcase from you today. A mobster stated while opening a silver briefcase which was filled with nothing but money. Oh, I know you greedy mobsters would anta, but I have different plans on how this thing will go. Lord Cobra replied as a second later the glass on top of the factory shattered, causing everyone to go on alert. They all heard the sound of wind as Mr. Twister was floating down into the area. Different plans indeed, Lord Cobra. Now if you don't mind, I will be taking that briefcase with me, Mr. Twister announced, causing the mobsters to become angry at the fact that this vigilante was going to come in and take this opportunity away from them. Mr. Twister, correct. Lord Cobra started getting a nod from the man in the red armor. Good, I know what to put on your tombstone then. As a powerful whirlwind started to form around Mr. Twister. Please, like a simple man as yourself can take me one. Mr. Twister taunted as Lord Cobra shook his head. No. I have no need to get my hands dirty. Lord Cobra replied before waving his hand as a second later multiple people wearing black cloaks appeared. Kill him for me as I have other things to do. Lord Cobra ordered before he started his walk away from the battle that was about to start. Kobe, don't tell me you were about to leave. A voice asked, which caused Lord Cobra to stop in his tracks. He turned and saw Red X was in the room along with what he guessed were these outsiders he heard about from Deathstroke. Here to steal from me again, Red X. Lord Cobra ants. Red while keeping his eyes locked on Red X. Come on, Kobe. I mean, what does a falcon have to do with a bunch of snakes? Red X replied. Everything. Lord Cobra said before throwing the briefcase to Professor William, who was able to catch it. Tigress, gather your team and take Professor Williams away from here. I have unsettled business to attend to. Lord Cobra ordered as the group of three assassins left with Professor Williams in tow. I'll go after the professor. Cheshire muttered to the group, who nodded. Leave Kobe to me. We have some history to settle. Red X said. Outsiders. Let's go for it. Ghost stated as they charged into battle. Mr. Twister was torn between fighting the group who destroyed his armor in the first place or getting back at Cobra. He was going to make the most of this situation and take them all on. Follow me to your death then, Red X. Lord Cobra said before leaving the factory and making his way into the forest with Red X following him. Cheshire left the factory and was following Tigress, leaving the rest of the group with Mr. Twister and the League of Shadows members. Oh Ghost, my boy, I wish to know how you were able to get out of my building. Deathstroke asked with interest in his voice. Ghost hit him for me. We'll stay here. Blackfire said, getting a nod from Ghost, who disappeared in a shushin and reappeared a few feet away from Deathstroke. I think we'll be needed here after all. Donna stated as the League of Shadows member who took the Cobra Venom from earlier had decided to stick around and fight Mr. Twister. Let's make this quick guys. Blackfire and Void, you two take on the League of Shadows member on Venom. Leave Mr. Twister to me, Miss Martian, and Donna. Aqualad ordered as they started their own battle with their opponents. With Supergirl and Superboy. January 15, 9:45 p.m. Est. The fight against Galatea was actually going good. The two Kryptonians were able to cover for one another when the other was down, thus giving one another a quick time to recover before coming back to the fight. Right now Galatea was letting her rage get the better of her. You two will never be able to defeat me, Galatea stated BEF. Or hitting both the Kryptonians and sending them back a couple of feet. I think we almost have her. We just have to keep putting pressure on her, Superboy said before getting up from his small crater thanks to Galatea. Supergirl nodded since the plan was indeed working. Just keep up with me and you'll be fine, a cold voice stated in a mocking tone, causing Superboy and Supergirl to shift their vision to the oncoming figure, which was none other than Deathstroke. Shut up, Galatea shouted to the enemy of the Teen Titans. Does she know she is talking to a robot? Supergirl muttered to Superboy, who shrugged his shoulders. Supergirl used her X-ray vision to see that the Deathstroke in front of them was nothing but a robot. Dear child, let me help you at least, Deathstroke said before injecting her with a light green substance. Galatea's body started to tremble in front of the two Kryptonians. Be ready for anything, Supergirl warned as the two went into their fighting stances to see Galatea's body grow more muscular as she now had a green aurora on her. I will destroy you all, Galatea proclaimed before destroying the Deathstroke robot with a powerful punch to the chest. Is that what you really think? A female voice asked as Galatea felt herself become restrained. The two looked and saw Poison Ivy walk onto the battlefield. Poison Ivy, what are you doing here? Supergirl asked the green-skinned woman. I'm helping you for once, Supergirl. Might I add, the new suit is nice. Poison Ivy replied. I will not be stopped, Galatea shouted once again before breaking free of the vines that held her. Round 2. Superboy said to himself before going in and punching Galatea multiple times as the Supergirl clone didn't even feel the punches. Weak, Galatea muttered before re-kicking Superboy a couple of feet back. Then try me on then, Supergirl replied before flying into Galatea and tackling her, which sent the clone back a few feet. Interesting, Poison Ivy comment. Ed, while looking at the plants Galatea was once on. That green aurora will kill her, Poison Ivy stated while looking at the plants with a critical eye. The Cobra Venom, I'm guessing, will feed off of the person's nervous system, thus meaning if she doesn't revert back to her normal size, then her neurons will go into overdrive, which will eventually kill her. Poison Ivy explained, getting a nod of understanding from Supergirl. In other words, keep her busy long enough for it to take effect, Supergirl said as Galatea was flying towards them. You got it, kid. Now if you excuse me, I have a Superboy to find, Poison Ivy replied before leaving the battlefield. With Red X. January 15, 9:55 p.m. Est. Lord Cobra was finally done with the game of going to a different location to fight Thing. Right now the two were staring one another down. Boy, fighting me was a big mistake, Lord Cobra stated before taking off his robe to reveal his muscular physique. I was going to say the same thing about me, but you beat me to it, Red X replied in a joking tone, which angered Lord Cobra more. This thief wasn't taking him seriously. He was going to pay dearly. Get serious or die, Lord Cobra shouted before harging at Red X, who quickly went on the defense and started to dodge Cobra's powerful punch and kick combinations. Red X had taken a few hits but was able to return the favor and hit Lord Cobra with a few of his own. Right now Red X had created a small space between the two. Count up your crimes, Kobe, Red X said while pointing to the pale man, who chuckled. Why start now? Lord Cobra replied before hitting Red X with a powerful combination which sent Red X back a feet or two. Time to get serious, Red X muttered to himself before pulling his cell phone out of his belt buckle. A thief becoming serious? Don't make me laugh, Lord Cobra replied as Red X dialed a few numbers before putting the cell phone back into the slot on his belt buckle. Exceed charge, a robotic voice stated as Lord Cobra narrowed his eyes when Red X's right arm had 2 red lines that were going down it. He also saw that his hand was in a fist. It's over, Red X said before thrusting his hand forward. Lord Cobra quickly put up both his gauntlets in order to block the attack. The attack hit and sent Lord Cobra flying back a few feet. He was about to pursue the man behind Cobra when multiple snakes had now surrounded him. We'll meet again, Red X. That I promise you. Lord Cobra voice echoed from his location. As Red X teleported to where the voice came from only to see the gauntlets that Lord Cobra wore were now broken in pieces. X punch worked out fine if it could do this to just gauntlets. Grant thought to himself as his radio went off. Red X here, he said through the built-in radio in his mask. Aqualad here, I need you to find Miss Martian for me. She stated that a telepath was on this island and she went to investigate. She hasn't been back, Aqualad informed the thief while brought up his holographic computer and started typing on it. As a few seconds later he was able to track Miss Martian's location. I found her. She's not too far away from my location. Red X replied. Find her and meet us back at the factory. Aqualad out, Aqualad said as he ended the conversation. Red X started to teleport multiple times so that he could reach Megan's location faster. I won't get there fast enough, Grant thought to himself before looking at his left wrist for a few seconds. Then again, everything does need a trial after all. As Red X jumped off of the tree he was on and landed on the ground. He pulled out his cell phone once again and dialed a number before sliding it back into the slot. A few seconds later a watch appeared on his left wrist. The face of the watch was big and was like a stopwatch timer. Here goes something, Red X muttered to himself before once again dialing a number into his cell phone and sliding it back in. Complete, a robotic voice stated as Red X's suit went from its usual red and black to silver and black. Also his cape was now gone in this form as well. I just hope my body can handle this, Grant thought before pressing a red button on the watch. Start up, the robotic voice stated as steam started to surround Red X's form before he completely disappeared from sight. Santa Prisca Factory, January 15, 9:45 p.m. Est. The battles that were going on in the factory was going good. Blackfire and Void were working in sync almost against the man who was on Cobra Venom. While on the other hand Donna and Aqualad were thinking of a way to quickly defeat Mr. Twister. Aqualad, Miss Martian called, getting the blonde's attention. It appears that there is a person inside the Mr. Twister suit this time. This time? Donna questioned while looking at E-Wind Manipulator who was blowing the League of Shadows members away. You mean you faced this person before? She asked, getting a nod from the two outsiders. Donna, can you get in close to damage his armor? Aqualad asked the Amazon. I should be able to without too much trouble, Donna answered while looking at Mr. Twister in action. Hey Miss Martian, can you? Aqualad started as he saw Ms. Martian eyes were glowing white for a few seconds. There is another telepath here, Miss Martian informed the two. Do you know their location? Aqualad asked, getting a nod yes from Miss Martian. Alright then, go after this telepath but try not to stay too long, Aqualad said as Miss Martian left the area. Your teammates are running away scared, I see, Mr. Twister stated while looking at the last of his opponents. Maybe you're not worth their time, Donna replied as the wind started to pick up. Say that to my face then, Mr. Twister said as Donna went into a fighting stance. Gladly, was the only word she said before taking off and hitting Mr. Twister with a few powerful punches that indeed were damaging the armor. Back off, child, Mr. Twister said before hitting Donna with a powerful gust of wind that sent her back a few feet. Oh great, that girl damaged my armor. I knew I should have worn the Mark III armor, Bromstick thought to himself while reading the heads-up display inside his armor. The punches the girl gave him were taking a toll on his armor. He had to take his leave now or get captured. The first option sounded better. I'm sorry to say but I have to go, kids, Mr. Twister said before levitating himself into the air. Not today, Aqualad said before grabbing Mr. Twister from behind as his arms started to glow a light blue. A second later, the Mr. Twister suit was now in a stunned state. None of his devices were working. Bromstick was now a sitting duck thanks to the shock Aqualad gave him. Nice job, Aqualad, Donna commented, seeing that the on-the-flight plan went well. I couldn't have done it without you. Now let's peel off this armor of his. Aqualad replied as the two started to take off small chunks of Mr. Twister's armor. With Blackfire and Void, their fight against the League of Shadows member was easy almost. The two women were in sync with one another. Blackfire's military-like mind in taking down an opponent was in effect. Add on Void's ability to adapt to almost any fighting style and you had a duo who could take on almost anyone. Right now the two were spacing themselves from their opponent. This is almost too easy. Blackfire commented, seeing the green aurora around the man started to diminish. No wonder it was. The cobra venom is similar to an alien I fought before. Blackfire muttered, drawing a look of confusion from Void. The alien I fought had an ability similar if not the same as this cobra venom. Their bodies, I believe you call it nervous system, would be in a hyperdrive state where they would be in this augmented form. If the alien did not revert back to their original form, then the body would start to break down on itself until the person died from exhaustion. Blackfire explained, getting a nod of understanding from Void. Void made a hand gesture where she held two fingers up and made a whirling motion. I agree. Let's wrap this up. Blackfire replied as the League of Shadows member started to charge at them. The two went into the same stance and waited for their opponent to get close to them. You know the peacock style too. Blackfire said, getting a nod from Void as their opponent was coming in fast. Then you know what move we have to do then. Blackfire said as Void nodded as their opponent was finally in range. The two quickly hit their opponent with fast palm strikes, each strike hitting multiple pressure points in the body. The two looked like they have been working together for years if a person saw the way they were handling their opponent. The two finished the combo with a powerful kick that sent the man flying back. I've never seen something like that. Donna commented as herself and Aqualad were coming over to check on them. Looks like you two were able to get in sync with one another after all. Congratulations. Aqualad said as the two, after their first spar, had been able to learn from one another, resulting in those two becoming a tag team when the group had to split up. Where is Mr. Twister? Blackfire asked as Donna made a head gesture to Bromstick, who was tied up. Void made a few hand gestures to Aqualad. Miss Martian went to find a telepath who was on the island. She hasn't radioed in and it's going on 10 minutes now. Aqualad informed the two. Why don't you call Red X? I'm pretty sure he could find Miss Martian. Donna suggested. Good idea. I'll see if I can get in contact with Red X. Aqualad said as Void made a few more hand gestures to Aqualad. Excellent point, Void. You and Blackfire find Cheshire. We'll stay here at the factory. Aqualad replied as Void pulled out a small square box. Void pulled out her blue and silver USB. Void. A robotic voice announced before Void put the USB into the small box. Approved. He robotic voice said as Void started to click the box multiple times until she stopped. What is she doing? Blackfire asked as Donna shrugged her shoulders as she was just as confused as Blackfire. It's that USB stick special ability when it's in that small box. It acts as a teleporter. It locks onto one of her Void trackers and she is able to open a portal to that location. Aqualad explained, getting a nod from Donna and Blackfire. Portal open. The robotic voice stated as a medium-sized black and white hole appeared in front of Void, who gestured Blackfire to come on. Take care, Donna said as the two left through the portal. With Miss Martian. 9:55 p.m. Est. Miss Martian had just arrived to where the telepath was supposed to be. So far she saw nothing until she saw a man wearing a brown cloak was on top of the small mountain they were on. The person turned around and was shocked to see Miss Martian. Interesting indeed. Another telepath on this island. Don't tell me the League of Shadows hired you. The person stated as Miss Martian shook her head no. Good, then Simon can continue his work then. The man said while turning his back on Miss Martian. I'm afraid I'm going to have to stop you, Simon. Miss Martian replied as Simon let out a laugh. Stop me, Simon said before snapping his finger as multiple League of Shadow members appeared. Don't make me laugh, foolish girl. He finished as he was about to continue his work until a voice brought him out of his own thoughts for a few seconds. That caused Simon to lose control of what he was doing. 3:2.1. Time out. A robotic voice announced as the League of Shadows members hit the ground. Miss Martian saw what appeared to be Red X, except he was silver and black instead of his usual color. Deformation. The robot IC voice said as Red X suit went back to normal. That wasn't to back at all. Maybe I should have started out with this rather than trying to use clock up first. Grant thought to himself as when he used clock up his body couldn't handle the effects of the speed clock up gave him. While with his Excel form his body could handle the speed better. Simon must leave. Too noisy. Simon stated before leaving the area. Should we go after him? Red X asked the red-haired Martian who shook her head no. Let's head back to the factory. I'm sure we'll run into him again. Miss Martian answered as the two left and went back to the factory. With Cheshire. January 15, 9:55 p.m. Est. Cheshire's chase had finally come to an end as the group she was pursuing came to a halt. She had chased them to the docks and was about to make her stand against her three former friends. You two take the professor and leave. Leave Cheshire to me. Tigress ordered as before they could move a black and white hole appeared. No one from the League of Shadows knew what to expect when Void and Blackfire came through the portal before it closed. About time you guys got here. Cheshire said as Void made a few hand gestures. I know. Just like old times. Cheshire commented when Sensei came onto the scene. Tigress. Stand down. I will be the one taking on these outsiders. Sensei stated shocking Cheshire and Void. Sensei would only fight in spars. He would never seriously fight someone. Touch my daughter and you will die slowly old man. I can guarantee it, a female voice called as the group saw Lady Shiva herself come to the fight with a sword in her hand. The sword itself had some blood on it as the sheath was on her back. Lady Shiva, I have to say that your presence here is a surprise. Sensei replied in a calm tone. Cut the formalities. Lady Shiva replied in a cold tone. She was not in the mood to deal with what Sensei had to say today. Let me handle this traitor for you Sensei. Tigress said causing Lady Shiva to actually laugh while Sensei chuckled just a bit. She is out of your league Tigress. Sensei replied. As a matter of fact I'm outclassed as well. I can take on Cheshire and win. Cassandra may take some time but I can win. From the rumors I heard Blackfire is pretty strong and add in her villain-like mind. She will not be the one to hold back. I might as well accept death if I take on Lady Shiva by myself. Sensei thought to himself while knowing the odds weren't in his favor. Looks like I'm going to have to retreat on this battle. Sensei stated as he turned to look at his assassee. NS who seemed to be frozen for a few seconds. Cheshire. Okay what's going on here? Tigress asked in a confused tone shocking Sensei along with Cheshire. Simon's concentration must have been interrupted. I have to get them to leave before Jade persuades them with her words. Sensei thought to himself before pulling out multiple smoke bombs and throwing them on the ground, which caused black smoke to cover the area. Retreat Tigress, Black Spider, and Hook. I will catch you all up to speed. Sensei ordered as the three assassins left with Sensei as they weren't really sure what was going on. Sensei was a person they could always trust. They got away with the professor. Blackfire commented seeing that their opponents left before the battle started. Not really. Cheshire said before pointing to the forest area behind them. Blackfire, Void, and Lady Shiva saw another Cheshire with Professor William walking towards them. You can make those clones too. Blackfire asked getting a nod from Cheshire. Your chakra ability will never cease to amaze me. Lady Shiva complimented. You will not get away with this. Cobra will come get me. Professor William said as he knew that Cobra would be coming any minute now to help him. I highly doubt it. After all I did run into a few people wearing snake-themed cloaks. I can say that they passed with honor. Lady Shiva replied scaring Professor William. He also looked at her sword which indeed had blood on it. Lady Shiva decided to sheath the blade since she doubted no one else would try to harm her tonight. Let's get back to the factory. Blackfire said as the group started to walk away with Lady Shiva staying behind. Void noticed this and went back to find out why she wasn't coming. Cassandra, I know I wasn't the best mother but believe me when I say I want to try to make it up to you. Lady Shiva started before taking a deep breath and continuing her point. I want to be involved in your life now Cassandra and nothing will take that away from me. Lady Shiva finished before receiving a hug from her daughter. Lady Shiva was happy at the fact that her daughter was accepting her. Slowly but surely she will be able to be the mother she was supposed to be. Even if it meant going through a few people to make that happen. Thank you Cassandra. Now let's go catch up to your friends. Lady Shiva said getting a nod from Void who was happy that her mother was here. Is this what it means to have a mother's love? Cassandra asked herself as the two started their walk to catch up to Blackfire and Cheshire. With Ghost. 10 p.m. Est. Ghost right now was tired of chasing Deathstroke. He was about to just call it a day and start using ninjutsu against this threat, but something in the back of his mind told him that this was just another robot. You're just a robot, right? Ghost asked as he and Deathstroke's chase had led them outside the factory and near another dock on the island. You're smarter than you look. The Deathstroke robot replied. So just what are you planning? Ghost asked again as the robot glared at him. I am not just some simple villain boy. I will not just tell you my true intentions until the time to reveal them have come to pass. So until then you will just have to wait. The Deathstroke robot answered before having its head ripped from its body. I was wondering when you would show up, Bane. Ghost ate as Bane walked over to Ghost with the Deathstroke head in hand. And miss doing this. Yeah, right. Now let's get back to my factory. I have renovations to do. Bane replied before he threw the robo-tick head out into the sea as a second later it exploded. Do his robots always do that? Ghost asked as Bane shrugged his shoulders. I don't know, but rumors have it they do. Bane replied as the two started to make their way back to the factory. 10:45 p.m. Est. The mission was a success as far as the outsiders were concerned. They caught Professor William, stopped Cobra from selling their Cobra venom. Galatea wasn't a threat anymore since she dissolved thanks to the Cobra venom, and to top it off they caught Bromstick as well. You couldn't have a better day than that. So now what will you do, Lady Shiva? Cheshire asked as she was wanted by the League of Shadows for almost killing Ra Al Ghul. She would have succeeded if his daughter hadn't acted as a shield for him. I was thinking about staying here, maybe helping Bane and Poison Ivy with the new wildlife here. Lady Shiva answered. I can use all the help I can get. Especially with these Cobra experimented animals. Cobra was so kind as to leave behind some of their notes which I can go off of. Poison Ivy said, getting a nod from the outsiders. Hey, if you guys need anything, please let us know. I hate being in debt to someone. Bane replied. Keep the island in control and keep us informed about what's going on in the villain world and we'll call it even. Red X said as Bane nodded in agreement. Come on everyone. The bio ship is here. Miss Martian stated as the bio ship was outside the factory. I'll be back to check up on you just in case the outsiders are too busy. Supergirl said before boarding the bio ship. Wouldn't have it any other way. Lady Shiva muttered as the bio ship started to take off and head back to Mount Justice. Mount Justice. January 15, 11:30 p.m. Est. The group was now back in Mount Justice. As soon as they landed they were told to brief Batman along with the rest of their teachers about what happened on the island. For the most part Batman had agreed with how they dealt with the matter. Especially when it came to Bane and Poison Ivy staying on the island to keep those animals under control. That meant for Batman that he had to less rogues to deal with. The group also dropped Tick and Professor William at a local jail on their way back to Mount Justice. The group kept the Cobra venom in order to learn what made it. Hey Batman, some type of bug bit me. Bane said I shouldn't be worried about it, but I can't shake off this feeling. Ghost said to Batman, yeah, something got me as well. Superboy added on as the rest of the outsiders admitted to be bitten as well. You all were bitten by something. Green Arrow concluded, getting a nod from each outsider. We'll run a few tests in the morning then. Go get some rest, guys. You earned it. Black Canary said as the outsiders left the room and went to get some sleep. Don't you find that suspicious? Something biting them? Question asked. Well, nothing bit me. Supergirl replied. We'll worry about it in the morning. Get some sleep, Kara. I have a feeling you won't be having any more nightmares. Batman stated, getting a nod from Supergirl. I'm sure you have an empty room here. Supergirl said before getting up from her seat. I'll show you, kid. Green Arrow replied as the two left the room. So what do you think, Bats? Question asked the Dark Knight. I'll worry about it tomorrow. Batman said as the rest of the heroes left the room. Disclosed location. January 15, 11:45 p.m. Est. At the moment Deathstroke was in his hideout thinking about a few things while typing on his laptop. He was brought out of his thoughts when 9 small bugs flew onto his desk. Right before he could get up, an image of Amanda Walker appeared on his screen. From the looks of it, she seemed pretty upset. Deathstroke. Do you know how much money you have cost Cadmus along with STAR Labs? Amanda Walker questioned. I do not care how much money you may have wasted on Project Galatea. My plan was a success and that is all that matters. Deathstroke replied coldly, causing Amanda Walker to laugh. Plan, she repeated, making sure she had heard him. I can see why the Teen Titans have defeated you countless times, Deathstroke. With a plan like that anyone could. I will reveal my plan when the time calls for it, Amanda. Until then, come up with more stable projects. Deathstroke replied before cutting off Amanda's feed. A minute later, Lord Cobra appeared on the screen. From the look on his face, he appeared to be angry and tired. Maybe Red X was too much for the cult leader. I would like to say that I am sorry for the loss of PR. Professor William, along with the loss of the Cobra Venom. Deathstroke stated as Lord Cobra held up his hand to pause him. Do not say any more, Deathstroke. You were busy with the one they called Ghost. Lord Cobra replied, having no need for Deathstroke to apologize for his losses. I also have the DNA of the outsider known as Ghost, if that cheers you up. Deathstroke replied as Lord Cobra had a grin on his face now. That is excellent to hear, Deathstroke. I will have to reward you for your assistance. Lord Cobra said. I will be awaiting my reward, but do tell me, what is it that you hope to accomplish by having the DNA of Ghost? Deathstroke questioned. Lord Cobra decided to tell him, since Deathstroke did earn his trust after all. I plan on finding out what powers this ghost person has and find a way to use it to my advantage. I plan on making it into a virus if I can. Lord Cobra explained. After all, the entire world must feel a cobra's bite. Deathstroke replied, getting a nod from Lord Cobra. I will keep you posted then, Deathstroke. Until we meet again, Lord Cobra stated before cutting off his feed. Making a virus out of this boy's power. That's a new one. Deathstroke thought to himself before looking at the 9 bugs on his desk. Then again, my plans are more team-oriented. As he started to type on his laptop and clicked on a file which opened. Project Psycho will not start itself, and to think I wanted to use this on the Teen Titans. Deathstroke thought to himself before closing the laptop and leaving the room. He needed to get some sleep just like everyone else. The end. Thanks for watching. Also remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.